Enjoy your time here and find peace in the stories we tell. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. Lily Chen had just finished listening to all the latest gossip from the servant women and ladies' maids, her heart as joyful as if celebrating a festival. She hummed a little tune as she skipped home cheerfully. In her heart, oh my, beautiful as blooming flowers. Today she got to savor some really juicy gossip again, truly delightful, truly delightful. But that young Master Li with jade and such refined features, who would have thought he'd be snatched away by that crude butcher from the street? Oh, what a waste of heaven, sent beauty, such a pity, such a pity. Then there's the story about the youngest son of Treasurer Wang's family. Turns out he was secretly born from an affair between Wang's wife and his eldest illegitimate son with a concubine. And this child is actually the son of the concubine's cousin's son from her maternal family. Oh heavens! These relationships are as tangled as twisted silk, it would take days to sort out. Ha ha, fascinating, fascinating, this could make me laugh myself to death. Lily was skipping along cheerfully, her short legs bouncing with each step, still lost in her reverie, when suddenly a voice echoed in her head. Gossip system connecting. Please choose whether host agrees or disagrees. This sudden voice made her jump, quickly pulling back the short legs she'd just stepped forward. What is this gossip system? Is it the kind of gossip I'm thinking of? Indeed, Lily was a transmigrator who had crossed over from birth, arriving in this world while still in her mother's womb. Her previous life hadn't been fortunate. Her parents were constantly at odds, from the time she could understand. All she heard was their fighting. When she turned 10, they finally divorced from exhaustion of arguing. The court awarded custody to her father, but he soon remarried to a stepmother. With a stepmother present, even her biological father became like a stepfather. From then on, she only hoped to grow up quickly so she could leave that house. It was incredibly difficult to finally escape, graduating from university, finding a job, supporting herself only to end up stuck in a soul-crushing position. The 996 work schedule was still a distant dream for her at the busiest times. She worked until 1 or 2 a.m. every day, going months without rest. Then one late night during overtime, Lily suddenly felt her vision go dark and died from overwork. When she woke up, she had transmigrated to this ancient world. In her previous life, she had read many transmigration novels and knew that transmigrators often came with accompanying systems. Systems that were usually extraordinarily powerful, helping transmigrators open glorious, awesome, dominating new lives. So the moment she opened her eyes in this world, she eagerly waited to see if she would get a system. Unfortunately, no matter how long she waited, no system appeared. Initially, Lily was somewhat disappointed, feeling that transmigrating without anything was truly a lonely transmigration. But later she discovered that even without a system, she had a prestigious family background as support. That's right, her father was the Grand Secretary, one of the 3 dukes, a first-rank official beloved by the emperor. Her mother was the legitimate daughter of Duke Ning's family, of noble birth. Moreover, in this era of multiple wives and concubines, her father had only married her mother, with no concubines or secondary wives. Their household therefore had no struggles for favor or dirty scheming. The entire family lived in harmony and joy. Lily was the youngest, with 2 older brothers and 1 older sister above her, all of whom loved her dearly. With such family circumstances, wasn't this exactly the life of being born at the peak that she had dreamed of in her previous life? So in this life, she didn't want to strive for anything, she just wanted to eat well, sleep well, and live peacefully. For over 10 years, she had indeed lived exactly as she wished. Day after day, she ate and drank, sat in her small chair munching sunflower seeds while listening to gossip from around the world, reading a few romance novels, living a life like an immortal. Among all her hobbies, her favorite was consuming gossip. Every time she went to listen to stories, she would carry a large bag of sunflower seeds to where the servant women and ladies' maids gathered. She provided the sunflower seeds, they provided the gossip, both sides were happy in this mutually beneficial cooperation. The servant women and ladies' maids particularly loved this gossip enthusiast. Not only because she was beautiful but also because she was generous, her sunflower seeds were always abundant. Moreover, she had great gossip ethics. After hearing stories, she never spread rumors and always kept secrets tight. So Lily had quite a reputation in the servant women and ladies' maids circle. Whenever there was fresh gossip, everyone wanted to find her to share it. Because of this, she didn't pay much attention to system-related matters anymore. Who would have expected that after 13 years, a system would suddenly appear, and it was a gossip system no less? Lily hadn't expected much, but out of curiosity, she still chose to agree. The moment this thought flashed through her mind, a voice immediately rang in her head, gossip system beginning connection. Lily waited curiously, wanting to see what this system actually had to offer. While she was thinking, that voice spoke again. Gossip system connection successful. From now on, the host can communicate with me. This system operates 24 hours a day, 365 days a year without rest. Call and I'll be there immediately. Lily hesitated a bit before asking, hello system, may I ask, is the gossip you mentioned the kind of gossip I'm thinking of? It certainly wasn't actual melons like watermelons, winter melons, pumpkins, or bitter melons, right? After all, this was ancient times, and Lily was afraid that terminology might cause misunderstandings, so she quickly sought confirmation. Does this host have some mental issues? The system thought. But considering this was their first meeting, the system still politely replied, no, not that kind. It's the kind of gossip you enjoy every day when you carry your little chair and bring sunflower seeds to join those servant women and ladies, maids to munch on. It's just that the gossip I know is 10,000 times more abundant, interesting, and rich than what those servant women and ladies' maids have. Moreover, any gossip from me is guaranteed to be genuine. Fake one, compensate 10. Oh my, I love it, I love it. This was truly tailor-made for her. Lily was delighted when she suddenly thought of something and quickly asked, wait, you're not planning to make me do all sorts of random tasks, are you? I'm the laziest person alive. I don't like being bound by all kinds of troublesome obligations. No, you don't need to do any tasks at all. Just take me along to consume more gossip, and I'll naturally collect energy. Collect energy for what? To survive, what else? Let me put it simply, energy is to us systems what food is to you humans. Only with a continuous energy source can I exist. If energy runs out, I risk shutting down. I see no need to do tasks then. So from today we're officially teaming up. To make it more ceremonious, how about we name our alliance? How about calling it Melon Joy? Host, whatever makes you happy. Lily was extremely satisfied with the name she had created. Thus, the human system duo named Melon Joy officially debuted, marching proudly toward the Chen mansion. Just as they approached the mansion gate, they could see from afar 2 rows of guards standing solemnly on either side, clearly not people from the Chen family, and their expressions were unusually stern. Lily couldn't help but wonder what was happening. Suddenly remembering she had a system, she quickly asked, system, help me check what's going on with these people at the gate. System, wait a moment. Oh, it turns out the Emperor has come to your house? What? The Emperor came to my house and brought so many guards to station at the gate like this. Is my father about to be executed? Should I run away quickly? If your father were really in trouble, shouldn't you worry about him first instead? Host, don't worry. Since you're connected to me, I won't let you easily encounter danger. I have a protection mechanism to ensure your safety. Lily was stunned. A protection mechanism. When I determine you're facing life-threatening danger, I'll activate this mechanism to ensure your safety. Whoa, this function sounds pretty amazing. Little one, what are you standing here for? Why don't you go inside? Big brother Alex Chen had just returned from outside and, seeing Lily lurking there, asked suspiciously. Seeing it was her big brother, Lily quickly pointed at the guards at the gate and whispered, Big brother, is our father about to be beheaded? Alex smacked her on the head. What's that little head of yours thinking all day? Come inside and see. Before she could finish speaking, Alex had already pulled her straight toward the Chen mansion gate. Seeing someone approaching, 2 guards immediately stepped forward to block the way. After consulting with the head steward of the Chen mansion, standing nearby, and receiving his nod confirming their identities, the guards allowed them to enter. As soon as they stepped through the door, Lady Chen approached them. Alex quickly asked, Mother, what's happening at our house? Lady Chen made a hushing gesture, then immediately pulled the 2 aside and said in a low voice, Speak quietly, His Majesty has come to our house and is currently in Father's study. Mother, is Father all right? Alex was still worried and quickly asked at his age. He had never seen the Emperor visit their home before. Moreover, his father had been claiming illness and staying home for many days. Though he didn't know the exact reason, he thought the emperor's personal visit must be related to this matter. Court matters, children shouldn't ask too many questions. Alex dear, take your little sister to play in the back courtyard. Remember to watch her, absolutely don't let her run around everywhere, especially near father's study. Don't disturb his majesty, understand? Lady Chen instructed, though the worry in her eyes couldn't be hidden despite her words. Yes. Seeing his mother's serious expression, Alex still worried about his father but pulled Lily toward the back courtyard. Lily looked reluctant to be dragged away by her big brother. Having entered the mansion as a professional gossip enthusiast, she wanted to go to the scene to consume some gossip and conveniently catch a glimpse of the emperor. She'd heard this emperor was quite handsome, but she'd never had an audience with him. Taking advantage of everyone's inattention, Lily secretly slipped away. When Alex rushed over to catch her, he only saw Lily stealthily climbing up to a window, her bottom sticking up, one ear pressed against the paper window covering, looking like a large toad eavesdropping. There she is, the little sister is here. This girl has such nerve, daring to spy on the emperor's conversation. And what a posture this was, truly indescribable. Just as he was about to drag his little sister back, he suddenly heard whispering voices from inside the room, but being too far away, he couldn't hear clearly. Alex decisively joined in, squatting down and becoming the second large toad alongside Lily. On the way here, Lily had already asked the system for clarification. It turned out the emperor had personally come to the Chen mansion today because of the crown prince succession issue that was causing an uproar in court. In ancient times, establishing a crown prince usually meant choosing the legitimate eldest son. But the northern Zhao kingdom that she had transmigrated to was different. Here they prioritized establishing the virtuous, in other words, whichever prince had ability would be chosen as crown prince. But virtuous had no unified standard, even Emperor Ming hadn't thought it through clearly. Emperor Ming originally didn't want to establish a crown prince early, firstly because he wanted to carefully observe the princes, and secondly because he was still in his prime with a healthy body. So there was no rush to establish a crown prince. But some court ministers kept clinging to this issue, arguing loudly about it every day. Their opinions weren't unified, one faction supported the first prince, while another supported the second prince. These ministers argued fiercely with each other, but in reality, some weren't concerned with the country's foundation, but with personal interests. Frankly speaking, they were caught up in factional disputes. Lord Chen, an important figure in court, had been approached many times by both factions, but he didn't want to choose sides or be drawn into the struggle, so he claimed illness and stayed home. Emperor Ming had long suspected that some ministers had impure motives. What he hated most was officials forming cliques and factions, gambling with Northern Zhao's future for personal gain. This visit was precisely to see what Lord Chen was really scheming. At this moment, Lily pressed close to the window, sticking her little head against it trying to peer inside, but she couldn't see what the emperor looked like. That's Alex's voice. But Alex is clearly right here beside me with his mouth tightly shut, not saying a word. What's going on here? System, can't you secretly poke a hole in the paper window covering? Who else's voice was that just now? Exactly. System, you're so clever. So Alex watched in amazement as Lily put her finger in her mouth, moistened it with saliva, and prepared to poke through the paper window covering. Alex quickly reached out to stop her. Are you crazy? The emperor is inside. If we're discovered, we're dead for sure. Unfortunately, Alex lost his balance and crashed into Lily. Both of them tumbled into the study. The two large toads, no, the two siblings, just rolled one after another into the room. Everyone in the room was startled by the earth-shaking commotion just now. Two guards had quickly rushed to stand before the emperor, ready to protect him. Lord Chen looked in panic at the two figures crawling clumsily on the ground, feeling his head throb like a hammer was pounding it. He hurriedly knelt down. Your Majesty, please forgive us. These are my youngest son and daughter. They surely didn't know your Majesty was here, which is why they rudely barged in like this. He shouted loudly. You two, where are your eyes? Quickly kneel and beg forgiveness. Alex hurriedly knelt down, bowing his head and stammering, Your Majesty, please forgive us. Lily also knelt obediently, outwardly appearing well-behaved but thinking to herself, Oh heavens, my head hurts so much I could die, falling like that nearly killed me. Big brother, can you be trusted at all? I was happily consuming gossip and watching the show, but you insisted on barging in, now look what's happened. Where is this voice coming from? Lord Chen wondered. Could I be so angry that I'm having hallucinations? I just heard Lily's voice, but clearly Lily hasn't opened her mouth at all. I was staring right at her and saw everything clearly, the child's mouth didn't even move. Emperor Ming narrowed his eyes, his brows furrowed tightly. What's going on? I seemed to hear a young lady's voice just now, but there's clearly only one young lady kneeling down there, and she doesn't seem to have spoken at all. Emperor Ming, Lord Chen, Alex, Master Reed, and all the guards in the room simultaneously swallowed hard. What was happening? It seemed they had just heard someone's inner thoughts. Everyone stealthily glanced at each other. Judging by everyone's expressions, they had definitely all heard it. Moreover, Emperor Ming saw the shocked expressions on Lord Chen and Alex's faces. It seemed this was their first time hearing such a thing too. Seeing everyone silent and the atmosphere in the room heavy as stone, Lily unconsciously thought, "It's over, it's over. System, I won't be beheaded by the Emperor, will I? Am I that frightening? What is this system thing? It probably won't come to that. Maybe everyone was just startled by you two falling down. Think about it, when you two fell, the floor shook 3 times. Whose voice is that again? Could it be that system?" But to avoid alerting enemies by moving rashly, Emperor Ming decided to remain still and see what was really going on. He spoke up, "Lord Chen, don't be too tense. Children being a bit mischievous is perfectly normal. Everyone, please stand up." Lily breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, thank goodness. This emperor seems quite benevolent after all. He's not like those tyrants I've heard about who would behead people just for accidentally passing gas. Though Emperor Ming was praising himself, what was this about beheading people for passing gas? Lord Chen wiped his sweat nervously, worried that this child might think of something else inappropriate and accidentally speak treasonous words that would bring disaster to the entire Chen family. He quickly scolded, "Hurry up and thank His Majesty for his grace, then get out of here immediately." Unexpectedly, Emperor Ming waved his hand. "No need. I came today mainly to visit Lord Chen. It's fine for these two to stay, everyone just act naturally, don't be formal." Lily finally couldn't resist stealing a glance at the Emperor. I have to say this Emperor really is quite handsome, so the rumors were true. Indeed, your Emperor is quite good looking, and he cares about state affairs and loves the people. Truly an enlightened ruler. Emperor Ming's lips curved slightly as he said, "Very good, please continue. But compared to my father, he's still a bit lacking. Moreover, his beard is too long. It looks like it would get food stuck in it when eating, with all sorts of dirty things. My father is still cleaner and neater." Emperor Ming unconsciously touched his beard and glanced at Lord Chen. "Don't people say men with beards are more masculine? Besides, I eat very carefully and wash my beard clean every day, how could it be dirty? I'm actually quite particular about cleanliness, yet she dares call me dirty." Lord Chen secretly wiped more nervous sweat. "Little ancestor, though father knows he's handsome, you shouldn't stand in front of the Emperor making comparisons with His Majesty. You even dare say the Emperor's beard is dirty, are you tired of living?" To quickly end this uncomfortable topic, Emperor Ming changed the subject. "Lord Chen, I heard you've been ill and haven't attended court for several days. I was concerned, so I came to visit." Lord Chen was about to speak when Lily thought, "What illness does father have? He's clearly faking it. Doesn't His Majesty see? These past few days at home, the slightest thing makes him spank my bottom loudly. Does that look like a sick person?" Lord Chen nearly fainted. "This wretched child, does she think I've lived too long? Can't she keep her mouth shut? Oh wait, she's not actually opening her mouth at all." After hearing this, Emperor Ming was indeed not surprised. Lord Chen was definitely faking illness. It seemed this trip wasn't wasted, but he wanted to see what Lord Chen was really plotting. He continued asking, "While you're recuperating, I shouldn't disturb you, but surely you know that court ministers have been continuously proposing crown prince establishment recently. I'm quite troubled by this. You are the tutor to several princes and understand them best, so I'd like to hear your opinion." Lord Chen inwardly sighed. What must come has finally come. "Host, you shouldn't just worry about yourself. What's a few spanks on your bottom? If your father doesn't answer skillfully, I fear your entire family will face great disaster. Emperor Ming, Lord Chen, this system knows quite a lot. Just what does it know? Everyone perked up their ears to listen. To hear the system's words clearly, Emperor Ming even deliberately spoke unhurriedly, telling Lord Chen to think carefully before answering. Lily thought, heavens, I almost forgot about this. Father, let me tell you truthfully, you haven't accepted bribes from anyone, nor have you formed cliques. You work uprightly and honorably. Whatever they want regarding Crown Prince establishment is their business. Why should you fake illness at home, making our family look so cowardly? Lord Chen stealthily glanced at the Emperor and saw that His Majesty's expression seemed to have eased somewhat, feeling relieved in his heart. This time she actually knows what's proper. Well said, say more. But system, the Emperor is standing right here. I can't directly mention checking up on him. Besides, even if I spoke, I'm afraid the Emperor wouldn't believe it, and I might even get beaten by father. At this moment, Emperor Ming slightly raised his eyebrows, thinking to himself. Today you're being so sensible. Why don't I usually see you being this clever? But outwardly he maintained his composure, showing neither approval nor disapproval. After all, he couldn't be certain whether what Lily said was true or false. To continue extracting information from her, Emperor Ming deliberately spoke leisurely. It seems Lord Chen is in a difficult position. Well then, I'll ask more directly. What do you think of the first prince? He paused briefly, then added as if to reassure. Don't worry, you can take your time thinking about this question before answering. Lily inwardly called out, System, quickly tell me about this first prince. The system immediately replied, This first prince is actually not bad, it's just that his mother concubine has some issues. Emperor Ming heard this and felt a moment of shock. What's wrong with concubine Hayes? He had always regarded concubine Hayes as a gentle imperial consort. Could there be some hidden circumstances? The system continued. The first prince is His Majesty's eldest son, but he wasn't born to the Empress, he was born to concubine Hayes. Concubine Hayes' family was just an ordinary clan. Before giving birth to the first prince, she was merely a low-ranking concubine. She only achieved her current status entirely through her son's merit, a classic case of mother rising through son's nobility. Fortunately, the first prince is very filial, and both his learning and character are beyond reproach. Emperor Ming nodded inwardly. He was indeed quite satisfied with this eldest son. It was just whether he had the qualities to become crown prince that still required further consideration. Lily secretly asked the system again, So isn't that good then? The system replied, But concubine Hayes doesn't think so. She fears that if His Majesty establishes a crown prince in the future, and it's not her son, plus her birth family has no power backing them, when His Majesty passes away 100 years from now, she and her son might be oppressed by others. Emperor Ming heard this and nearly jumped up. What? This concubine Hayes thinks too far ahead. I'm barely over 30, yet she's already worrying about my funeral arrangements. Anger rose in his heart, but he still maintained a calm expression outwardly. Lily continued wondering. So in this group of ministers, urging His Majesty to establish a crown prince, could concubine Hayes also be involved? The system answered. Your guess is correct. Concubine Hayes is indeed involved, but she's not the ringleader. The person truly pulling strings behind all this is Grand Tutor Zhang. Emperor Ming heard this and was inwardly shaken. How could Grand Tutor Zhang be involved? Grand Tutor Zhang has always shown support for the second prince. Why would he turn to support the first prince? Could this system be mistaken? Lord Chen stood nearby with his head bowed, not daring to say a word. Actually, he knew a little about Grand Tutor Zhang. Once he had accidentally overheard that while Grand Tutor Zhang outwardly supported the second prince, inwardly he favored the first prince. He just didn't know the specific reasons. Lord Chen originally didn't want to get involved in this crown prince succession dispute. In history, how many people had been implicated for choosing the wrong side? He didn't want to follow in their footsteps. Lily silently exclaimed, Heavens, just hearing this makes my head spin like tangled silk. So why does Grand Tutor Zhang support the first prince? The system immediately replied, Why else? Concubine Hayes has no family background, she's easy to manipulate. Emperor Ming heard this and was even more shocked. Grand Tutor Zhang normally appeared noble and aloof, caring nothing for fame and profit. How could he have such audacious ideas? Lily continued asking, This Grand Tutor Zhang is really bold, daring to dream of manipulating the Imperial family. The system replied. The true master standing behind Grand Tutor Zhang is the Northern Border Kingdom. The one wanting to control Northern Zhao is also the Northern Border Kingdom. Emperor Ming almost cried out. What? The Northern Border Kingdom? The Northern Border and Northern Zhao had fought for years, until he ascended the throne and finally defeated them, making the Northern Border submit and pay tribute annually. Yet now the system was saying Grand Tutor Zhang was colluding with the Northern Border Kingdom, and they wanted to manipulate Northern Zhao. The system continued the story. Grand Tutor Zhang has a secret daughter named Reed Ying, raised secretly outside, hardly anyone knows about her. One year, the third prince of the Northern Border Kingdom came to Northern Zhao with his father to pay tribute. He happened to meet Reed Ying in the capital, became infatuated with her, and pursued her relentlessly. Reed Ying couldn't resist for long and quickly fell into his love trap. By the time Grand Tutor Zhang discovered this, the young couple had already become intimate. Lily was amazed. There's such a story. What happened next? The system continued. Grand Tutor Zhang had no choice but to reluctantly agree to this marriage. The third prince then took Reed Ying back to the Northern Border Kingdom. Who would have expected that later, a coup occurred in the Northern Border Kingdom? The third prince ascended the throne, and Reed Ying naturally became the queen of the Northern Border Kingdom. This third prince had great ambitions and was unwilling to submit to Northern Zhao, harboring resentment over Northern Zhao's past victories over the Northern Border Kingdom. When he learned that Reed Ying was Grand Tutor Zhang's daughter, he secretly contacted Grand Tutor Zhang, promising all sorts of benefits. After many exchanges, Grand Tutor Zhang finally nodded in agreement and even secretly leaked many of Northern Zhao's secrets to the Northern Border Kingdom. It's just that you, Emperor Ming, are too formidable, so they haven't dared make any rash moves. Therefore, they thought the best approach was to install a new king. The first prince is precisely the candidate they carefully selected. Emperor Ming heard this and was so angry he nearly coughed up blood. He never expected Grand Tutor Zhang would dare collude with enemy nations and betray Northern Zhao. If what the system said was true, Grand Tutor Zhang absolutely could not be forgiven. However, he forced down his anger and maintained a calm appearance. Lord Chen standing nearby was equally horrified. He never imagined Grand Tutor Zhang would dare commit such treasonous acts. But at the same time, he was worried. This information was revealed by his daughter and the so-called system. If the information was false, would His Majesty blame his family? The crime of falsely accusing court ministers could mean losing one's position at best, or beheading at worst. Everyone present was stunned, unable to believe their ears. Could these things be true? Lily asked again. So has Grand Tutor Zhang's collusion with the Northern Border Kingdom left any evidence? Everyone immediately perked up their ears to listen. Emperor Ming glanced slightly at Master Reed, who understood the signal and immediately activated his mental shorthand mode, ready to memorize every word the system revealed. He had trained this skill to perfection from years of serving beside His Majesty. The system replied. Of course there's evidence. Grand Tutor Zhang is normally extremely cautious in his work, personally handling every meeting with Northern Border Kingdom representatives. However, since the Northern Border Kingdom is thousands of miles away from Northern Zhao, for convenient communication, they established a contact point in the capital's outer districts, specifically the Emerald Fragrance Wine House, about 10 miles north of the capital. The house manager there serves as the intermediary. Moreover, over the past few years, the Northern Border Kingdom has secretly gifted Grand Tutor Zhang many rare treasures, all precious items only found in the Northern Border Kingdom, hidden in a secret chamber within the right wall of Grand Tutor Zhang's study entrance. That secret chamber also stores several letters exchanged between Grand Tutor Zhang and the Northern Border Kingdom. Though Grand Tutor Zhang burns most correspondence immediately after reading, he kept some letters related to benefits the Northern Border Kingdom promised, since they haven't been fulfilled yet. Master Reed listened with his mind spinning like a top, afraid to miss a single word. After the system finished speaking, Master Reed finally breathed a sigh of relief and nodded slightly to Emperor Ming. He had memorized everything. Lily continued asking. So do the first prince and concubine Hayes know about these things? Emperor Ming eagerly listened, his heart burning with urgency. wanting to know whether his concubine and son were involved in this matter. The system answered, "Not at all. Grand Tutor Zhang only promised concubine Hayes that he would do his utmost to help the first prince ascend to the crown prince position. Concubine Hayes has no idea that Grand Tutor Zhang's backing comes from the northern border kingdom, and the first prince knows even less. He has always been arrogant and conceited, thinking the ministers support him because of his own outstanding talents." Emperor Ming heard this and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, thank goodness. This first prince is someone I have high hopes for. Fortunately, he hasn't disappointed my expectations. The system continued. However, Grand Tutor Zhang has secretly bribed quite a few ministers. These people have put considerable effort into the first prince's cause, and the money spent was naturally all provided by the northern border kingdom. Emperor Ming heard this and ground his teeth in anger. He never expected that a supposedly upright Grand Tutor Zhang would commit such treacherous acts and even drag so many ministers into being bribed. If he hadn't come here today, he would still be blinded like a fool. Thinking of this, Emperor Ming suddenly spoke up. I see that your complexion looks rosy today, and your health must have improved considerably. I wonder when you might be able to return to court. Lord Chen didn't dare claim he was still ill and quickly replied. After several days of rest, this minister has nearly recovered and can return to court tomorrow. Your health is important. If you're not fully recovered, don't force yourself. No problem at all. Even if your majesty hadn't come, this minister had already planned to return to court tomorrow. Emperor Ming's lips curved slightly in a barely noticeable smile before immediately returning to a serious expression. Very good then. Incidentally, I find your young daughter quite intelligent and clever, well-mannered and proper. This must be due to your excellent upbringing. Lord Chen heard this and was stunned, feeling vaguely uneasy. Why is His Majesty suddenly mentioning Lily? Why do I have such an ominous feeling? Lily looked quite pleased with herself and secretly glanced at her father. Oh my, finally someone understands me. Look, even His Majesty praises me for being intelligent, clever, and well-mannered. Unlike you who scolds me every day for not cultivating myself properly and calls me stupid. This is called hiding one's talents. Those who accomplish great things don't worry about trivial matters, understand? Unable to suppress their laughter, Master Reed and the two guards nearby had to pinch their thighs hard to keep from bursting out laughing. Ha ha ha, Lord Chen's young daughter is truly amusing. Can she really not distinguish between genuine and sarcastic praise? Though I don't know why His Majesty suddenly decided to tease her, a person should at least have some self-awareness. Intelligent and clever aside, just looking at her foolish appearance when she climbed the window and tumbled down earlier, how can that be called well-mannered? Emperor Ming forced down his emotions and continued. Why don't you accompany Lord Chen to court tomorrow? I'll grant you a 9th rank position. Lily was feeling triumphant when she heard this. It was like being struck by lightning. What, go to court? System. Am I not so happy that I'm hallucinating? You're definitely overjoyed and confused, but you're not hallucinating. Your emperor really did tell you to go to court. Lily felt like she'd been struck by heavenly lightning and sent to the clouds. Go to court. Ah, I'm living peacefully at home, why force me to go to court? This sudden shriek made Emperor Ming jump in fright. Heavens, this little girl looks so small and delicate. Why does her inner voice sound as terrifying as a wild beast's roar? Even Master Reed, who had served His Majesty for years and trained himself to remain unmoved even if Mount Tai collapsed before him, was startled and jumped. Good heavens, this girl's scream is too frightening. Lord Chen really raised his daughter well. With such powerful lungs, even lions, tigers, and leopards would have to admit defeat. Lord Chen no longer had any mind to pay attention to such things. Cold sweat poured out like he was taking a bath. Everyone in the room could now hear Lily's inner thoughts, and in just a short while, this girl and her system had exposed so many earth-shaking secrets. If she goes to court and starts thinking randomly again, I fear the Chen family will be driven to extinction by her. Lord Chen trembled as he spoke. Your Majesty, are you serious? I fear this matter isn't quite appropriate. Does it seem like I'm joking? I think it's very appropriate. But Your Majesty, Northern Zhao has never had female officials. I fear it doesn't conform to protocol. When did you become so old-fashioned? A small 9th rank position. I can still make that decision. But your majesty, this girl has been spoiled by this minister. I fear if she goes to court, she'll cause trouble. You worry too much. I find this girl very well behaved and sensible. How could she cause trouble? Lord Chen thought. Well behaved and sensible. Your majesty, are you serious? Have you ever seen a well-behaved, sensible child secretly climb walls and fall from windows at noon? But this minister's daughter knows nothing about court affairs. I feel she'll disappoint your majesty's kind intentions. I don't need her to understand anything. I just need her to stand there and occasionally expose some gossip about those old, treacherous, and cunning ministers. Won't that be problematic? Oh right, court recorder Sam is getting old and his hearing is somewhat poor. Why not let her assist court recorder Sam as his aide? Master Reed was suddenly called upon and looked completely bewildered. But thinking back, Master Reed had served beside His Majesty for years. Situations like today weren't unprecedented, so he immediately sprang into action and began agreeing enthusiastically. Yes, your majesty is absolutely right. Court recorder Sam once secretly told this servant that his hearing has been a bit poor recently, asking this servant to mention to your majesty when convenient about selecting a suitable assistant. But this servant's muddled brain forgot completely, truly deserving of punishment. Fortunately, your majesty thinks so thoroughly. In this servant's opinion, Miss Chen here is indeed a suitable candidate. At this moment, court recorder Sam was at home when his ears suddenly started itching, his face full of confusion. Strange. Why does it feel like someone is saying my hearing isn't good? Since when has court recorder Sam's hearing been poor? Your majesty, didn't you praise him not long ago for having sharp hearing and keen eyes, handling affairs competently? How quickly you forget. Master Reed, speaking so against your conscience. Where's your conscience? If I want to do it, I'll do it. What's it to you? But your majesty. Nof. Lord Chen, say no more, this matter is decided. Master Reed, when you return to the palace later, immediately have someone prepare official robes to send to Miss Chen. Tomorrow, Miss Chen will accompany Lord Chen to court. Since His Majesty had spoken, Lord Chen dared not say another word. Fine. You're the emperor. Whatever makes you happy. This servant obeys your command. Though this matter is somewhat rushed, since it's His Majesty's will, even if I have to climb mountains of knives and descend into seas of fire, I must get these official robes ready. Only Lily felt her heart shatter at this moment. Did anyone ask for my opinion? I don't want to go to court. Don't want to, absolutely don't want to. Her screaming was like waves crashing one after another, shaking heaven and earth. Emperor Ming had intended to give a few more instructions, but truly couldn't bear the sound like landslides and tsunamis, so he flicked his sleeves and stood up to leave. Master Reed and several guards also breathed sighs of relief. Oh heavens, their ears could finally have some peace. After Emperor Ming left Lord Chen's study, he turned to Master Reed with instructions. Master Reed, go back and tell Lord Chen about hearing his daughter's inner thoughts. Absolutely do not let her know even half a word about this, or it will be considered defying Imperial orders. This servant obeys. Master Reed hurried back. Having served His Majesty for years, he understood his intentions perfectly. He was simply afraid that if Lord Chen's daughter learned of this, she would no longer reveal her inner thoughts. After returning, Emperor Ming immediately ordered the Imperial Investigation Bureau to investigate Grand Tutor Zhang's affairs. Sure enough, the Bureau quickly found the contact person at the Emerald Fragrance Wine House in the northern outskirts of the capital. After intensive interrogation, that person confessed everything about Grand Tutor Zhang's side. His Majesty didn't want to alert enemies by acting rashly, so he only secretly had people monitor every move of the Grand Tutor's mansion, waiting until Grand Tutor Zhang came to court before having the mansion searched for evidence. At the Lord's mansion, while Lily was alone in her room trying to process her emotions, Lord Chen hurriedly called Lady Chen, Jack Chen, Grace Chen, and the head steward. When Lady Chen arrived and saw her husband's gloomy expression, she was alarmed, thinking some great disaster had occurred. Lord Chen sighed heavily and recounted everything that had happened in the study to his wife, children, and steward. Alex stood nearby, only able to nod mechanically, still dazed and not yet recovered from what had just occurred. Lady Chen, however, was unusually calm. She thought for a moment and then said, "So His Majesty can hear Lily's inner thoughts, but instead of punishing her, he's giving her a court position. while also requiring us not to reveal that her thoughts can be heard. Is that correct? Lord Chen nodded, then shook his head. It seems what you said is right, but also seems not quite right. You're worried that Lily might speak carelessly in court and reveal something inappropriate, bringing disaster to herself and our entire family, aren't you? Lord Chen nodded vigorously. I think there's no need to worry too much. I suspect the reason His Majesty is breaking precedent to let a woman like Lily enter court is mostly because her system can gather information that ordinary people find difficult to obtain. His Majesty probably wants to use this to access necessary intelligence. If that's the case, he will certainly protect Lily thoroughly. She'll be fine. Moreover, things have reached this point, worrying excessively is useless. Better to accept it. Who knows, it might not be a bad thing after all. At least His Majesty no longer suspects you're involved in the Crown Prince establishment issue, right? Lord Chen and Alex looked at each other, not expecting Lady Chen to be so perceptive. How did such a serious matter suddenly seem less grave when it came to her? His Majesty surely wants to use this to obtain necessary information. If that's the case, he'll certainly protect Lily thoroughly. She'll be fine. Moreover, things have reached this point, excessive worry is useless. Better to accept it. Who knows, it might not be a bad thing after all. At least His Majesty no longer suspects you're involved in the Crown Prince establishment issue, right? Lord Chen and Alex looked at each other, not expecting Lady Chen to be so perceptive. How did such a serious matter suddenly seem less grave when it came to her? Head Steward Lin, please inform all the servants about this matter. Regarding hearing the second Mrs. Inner Thoughts, no one should show excessive surprise, and absolutely must not let the second Miss know. This is an Imperial decree. If there are any mistakes, you know the consequences, don't you? Madam, please rest assured this old servant will handle everything thoroughly. After dealing with Grand Tutor Zhang's affairs, Emperor Ming suddenly remembered that Lily didn't know that others could hear her inner thoughts. If she encountered trouble because of this, it would ruin everything. So the urgent matter was to immediately dispatch several secret guards to protect her and prevent any harm from coming to her. Thus, Emperor Ming immediately sent secret guards to the Chen mansion to monitor secretly. At this moment in the Chen mansion, everyone else had gone to rest, only Lily was still screaming frantically in her room. I just went to secretly consume a bit of gossip. Why do I suddenly have to go to work? I don't want to. I absolutely don't want to. Himph. No matter how you put it, it's all because of that damned Alex. If he hadn't pushed me out, I wouldn't have been discovered and wouldn't have to go to work. Lily ground her teeth. If she could beat him, she would rush over and give that brother of hers a thorough beating. The system was somewhat confused and asked doubtfully. Isn't it just going to court? Others want to but can't. Why are you so resistant? System, you speak well. What do you mean just going to court? Don't you know I died from overwork in my previous life? In my previous life, I worked because I had no other choice, but I struggled so hard to be reborn into a good family where I could eat and drink my fill every day without needing to work, living such a beautiful life. So why force me to work now? And do you know about Northern Zhao's morning court? If I go to work, while it's still dark, I'll have to crawl out of bed. Ah, this is truly the height of misery. I originally thought the bosses in modern times were already inhumanly exploitative, but compared to this ancient emperor, it's like small evil meeting great evil. At least in modern times, no one forces you to work this early, right? So ancient emperors are truly the most exploitative flesh-eating monsters who don't even spit out bones. Why do I feel like I'm about to die from overwork again in this life? Woo-woo. Seeing her host in such desperate pain, the system didn't know how to comfort her and could only say, Host, don't be too discouraged. At worst, I'll take you to the court to consume gossip. Hearing there's gossip to consume, Lily finally stopped screaming and asked suspiciously, Is the gossip at court good? Of course. The gossip there is all top quality. I guarantee you'll be satisfied. That's acceptable then. Anyway, Imperial commands are hard to disobey. From now on, whether my life is happy or joyful depends entirely on you. Don't worry, just leave it to me. But remember to wake up early tomorrow. We'll go consume big gossip together. Alright, this young lady has spoken. A gentleman's word is his bond. The next day, the system called, Host, wake up quickly. Didn't you promise to wake up early to consume gossip? Unfortunately, Lily slept like a dead pig. No matter how much it called, she wouldn't wake up. The servant women took turns urging her several times, but she still kept her eyes barely open, lazily answering, 5 more minutes, just 5 minutes. Then she rolled over to continue sleeping. On the other side, Lord Chen had already dressed neatly in his official robes and waited for ages without seeing her, so he had to take action himself. He had someone fetch a pitcher full of ice water from the kitchen, then carried it straight to Lily's room. Everyone was curious, not understanding what the master planned to do with this pitcher of water. Lady Chen, eldest daughter Grace, and sons Alex and Jack all looked puzzled and could only trail behind. When Lord Chen arrived, Lily's room echoed with snoring like thunder. Lord Chen shook his head in exasperation. Oh, which family has a young lady who snores this loudly? In the future, when she marries, I'm afraid her husband will kick her out of bed. But now isn't the time to think about such things. If I don't wake Lily, we'll be late for morning court. Lord Chen walked straight to the bedside and without a word, threw the pitcher of ice water right into Lily's blankets. Seeing Lord Chen's action, the watching crowd couldn't help but shiver in sympathy. Heavens, in such cold winter weather, putting a pitcher of ice water into the blankets. Just thinking about it makes one shiver with cold. Lily jumped up with a start, immediately awakened, sitting bolt upright. Who did such an immoral thing? She held the ice-cold pitcher and shouted, but before she could finish, she saw her father's gloomy face and several people behind him secretly covering their mouths, laughing. It seemed she even glimpsed her mother giving her father a thumbs up. Immoral. I think you're the one lacking sense. Do you know you have to attend morning court today? You servants, quickly help the young lady dress in her official robes. Lord Chen shouted at the servant women. So Lily was bustled about by the servant women in a flurry, 7 hands and 8 feet dressing her in official robes. As soon as she started walking, laughter erupted behind her. Though the master's method was somewhat cruel, it was indeed quite effective. Lily couldn't help but secretly complain. Heavens, am I really these people's biological child? Host. You should also look at what you've been doing. Today is morning court. Can morning court be something you can be late for? Yet you're still sleeping in here. Unlike your previous job where being late at worst meant salary deductions, if you're late for morning court, you might lose your little life. System. I didn't want to either, but this hour is too early. I really can't get up. It wasn't that Lily was exaggerating. Though morning court in northern Zhao officially began around 6 a.m., the ministers usually had to wait outside the Meridian Gate from around 4 a.m., meaning they had to get up at 3 a.m. Blue heavens, dear Earth. This emperor is truly inhumane. He lives nearby so he can sleep until 6 o'clock, not caring how people like us who live far away survive. Lord Chen thought. Oh heavens, such a headache. Lily continued screaming. I'm still a growing child. Getting up this early will seriously affect my development. Look at these short legs, look at my flat chest that's just starting to bud. In the early morning mist, Lord Chen heard, what was this? The system indeed was somewhat inhumane. Well then, go to bed earlier tonight. Yeah, if it were that simple, that would be great. Evening time is so precious, I don't want to waste it. Oh, you want this and that too. I'm at my wit's end, but when the time comes, I'll find some gossip for you to consume to help you quickly get through morning court. The Melon Joy duo chattered on like this continuously. Lord Chen listened the whole way and only felt his head aching. At this moment, he had only one thought in his heart. He hoped that later at court, this little troublemaker would behave herself a bit and not cause him problems. Fortunately, halfway through the journey, Lily fell asleep from the swaying carriage. Lord Chen had just breathed a sigh of relief when suddenly thunder, like snoring, rang in his ears. Heavens, this unruly child. Tomorrow when going to court, I must bring some cotton, otherwise, the whole way it's either chattering or snoring like thunder. I'm afraid by the time we reach court, my ears will be deaf. Fortunately, the carriage finally stopped. They had arrived. Lord Chen gently pushed Lily and seeing the girl had no reaction, he decisively grabbed her by the collar like carrying a chick and pulled her straight down from the carriage. At this time, before the Meridian Gate, crowds of ministers were already gathered waiting to attend court. Since yesterday, they had heard rumors that Lord Chen's young daughter would come to court today. This was the only female official in all of Northern Zhao Kingdom, personally summoned by His Majesty no less. So everyone was curious, wondering what was so special about this Miss Chen that made His Majesty break precedent like this. Though Lily was famous in the servant women and ladies' maid circles in the capital, outside that circle she had little reputation. The only thing people knew about her was that she was Lord Chen's youngest daughter. At this moment, seeing Lord Chen's carriage stop, everyone's eyes burned with curiosity in that direction. Then they saw Lord Chen carrying someone like a chicken. Could what Lord Chen is carrying be Miss Chen? This entrance is truly unique. Just then, Lord Chen suddenly slipped. Fortunately, a nearby guard caught him in time, preventing him from falling. But the chicken in his hands, no, Lily wasn't so lucky. Lily was sleeping soundly when she was flung from Lord Chen's grasp, and with a thud, she drew a perfect parabola in the air before planting head first into the ground like an onion. She kissed the thick white snow directly, her head buried deep in it, half her body submerged, with only her short little legs sticking out, kicking frantically. The fall woke Lily completely. She cried, "Help me," while desperately kicking her short legs, trying to escape, but with her big head and short legs buried so deep, no matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't budge. It was also because heavy snow had been falling these past days. Though servants worked hard to clear it, the snow still piled up thickly, especially where Lily landed, which was truly a sanitation dead zone with frighteningly deep snow. Everyone was stunned by this unexpected scene and only came to their senses after a while. Several people couldn't help but burst out laughing. Though laughing at Miss Chen on their first meeting was indeed impolite, it was just too funny. Among them, Minister Wang laughed the loudest, doubled over with laughter. He had originally thought the entrance just now was special enough. Who would have expected the real show was yet to come? Seeing everyone's reaction, Lord Chen suddenly realized, "Oh heavens, where did the chicken in my hands go? No, where did my daughter go?" He followed everyone's gaze and discovered Lily flailing about in the snow pile. He quickly ran over to pull her up. At this moment, Lily's head and face were covered with snow, panting heavily as if about to suffocate. Heavens, I nearly suffocated. She blinked at her father with a face full of reproach. Heaven and earth, he's truly a father who specializes in digging holes to bury his daughter. He was standing so steadily, how did he manage to throw his daughter out? After throwing me, he didn't even know and nearly suffocated me in the snow. Lily kept screaming in her heart. Lord Chen felt guilty and didn't look directly at her. Ha ha ha, heavens, this is hilarious. Minister Wang laughed until tears streamed down his face. Lord Chen, your young daughter is truly amusing. Because Lily had her back to the ministers just now, they thought those complaints were spoken aloud, so everyone was amused by her. The ministers, who had been trying to hold back their laughter, could no longer contain themselves and burst into loud laughter. Lily turned around and saw the ministers laughing hysterically, her face showing some embarrassment. But these were all colleagues, and today was her first day at work. It wasn't convenient to get angry, so she could only silently curse in her heart. These old men better be careful not to laugh their teeth loose. Just as she was annoyed, the system finally spoke up. Host, don't be too angry. Later I'll find some gossip about these people for you to consume, so you can laugh back at them. Good, that works. System, I'm leaving this to you. Don't worry, just leave it to me. Who's speaking? Old men, what did they just hear? Who dares scold them? A girl's voice. Could it be Lord Chen's young daughter? But her mouth clearly isn't moving, and there's talk of gossip and consuming gossip. Where does gossip come from? The ministers were bewildered by the dialogue between Lily and the system, not understanding what was happening. Just then, a eunuch approached to announce everyone should enter the court. The ministers collected their thoughts and proceeded into the court hall together. Emperor Ming was seated on the dragon throne, but the ministers were surprised to discover that His Majesty, who always kept a long beard, had today shaved it completely clean. His chin was so smooth it was dazzling. The ministers secretly wondered, didn't His Majesty treasure that beard greatly? Why would he bear to shave it off now? Only Master Reed and Lord Chen secretly suppressed their laughter, not expecting that just one comment from Lily yesterday had made His Majesty take it so much to heart. Today was Lily's first time attending court, so Emperor Ming showed her great respect, specially introducing her to the ministers while placing her under court recorder Sam's supervision. Emperor Ming's purpose in summoning her was to hear useful inner thoughts from her. If he assigned her heavy work, he feared she wouldn't have the mind to think randomly. So he had instructed Master Reed to tell Court Recorder Sam beforehand that Lily was new and inexperienced. Just let her observe and learn without assigning heavy tasks. Court Recorder Sam was perceptive. His Majesty had made it so clear, how could he not understand? So when Lily stood before him and respectfully asked what she needed to do, Court Recorder Sam just smiled and nodded, telling her to just stand and watch him record. Lily obediently stood there, looking dazed. Soon, the minister's attention left Lily and today's court session began. Grand Tutor Zhang was completely unaware of the impending danger. As the court session opened, he secretly signaled to several ministers as usual. These people immediately understood and again steered today's topic toward Crown Prince establishment. In just moments, the two factions supporting the first prince and second prince launched into fierce debate again. They argued until spittle flew everywhere, with neither side yielding. Among them, the most prominent was Minister Wang. At this moment, Minister Wang looked no different from a ruffled rooster, his neck red and swollen, veins bulging, mouth spraying saliva everywhere, fierce as if he wanted to devour his opponents. Emperor Ming frowned, secretly calculating what excuse he could find to make Lily and that strange system quickly reveal which people had secretly received benefits from Grand Tutor Zhang. Just as he was deep in thought, a melodious voice suddenly rang in his head. System, look quickly, who's that person standing next to my father? When I fell earlier, he seemed to be the one laughing the loudest. It turned out Lily still held a grudge from earlier. She stole a glance at Minister Wang, then quickly lowered her head to continue chatting with the system. The surrounding ministers thought, that voice again, could they actually hear Miss Chen's inner thoughts? The system replied cheerfully, oh, that's Minister Wang, the Grand Secretary of Ceremonies. He has a really big piece of gossip. Do you want to hear it? Minister Wang's eyes widened, as if he had guessed what gossip the system was referring to, and an ominous premonition rose in his heart. Emperor Ming immediately perked up his ears, thinking, excellent. Let's see what gossip Minister Wang has. Could it be related to Grand Tutor Zhang? The noisy chatter in the court hall suddenly quieted, everyone's eyes secretly turning toward Lily. Lord Chen glanced at His Majesty and saw he still maintained a calm expression. Even showing a trace of anticipation that was hard to detect, he breathed a sigh of relief somewhat. Only Lily paid no attention to everyone's reactions. At this moment, she just wanted to consume gossip for revenge, wasn't she eager? Of course she was eager. System, hurry up. I can't wait any longer. The system continued. Do you know why Minister Wang works so hard to support the first prince as crown prince? Lily was stunned, then answered. Could it be that he also received benefits from Grand Tutor Zhang? Minister Wang, Grand Tutor Zhang, what is this system talking about? Could it actually know what they've been doing behind the scenes? The two of them now felt their hearts jumping into their throats, wishing they could immediately rush over and silence Lily. The other ministers thought, Minister Wang, Grand Tutor Zhang, First Prince, Crown Prince, benefits. Miss Chen's words contained too much information. Only Emperor Ming maintained his calm expression, listening intently. The system continued. That's right, he indeed received benefits from Grand Tutor Zhang, but not the rare treasures that the northern border kingdom sent. The ministers immediately perked up their ears. What? Northern border kingdom rare treasures? Grand Tutor Zhang? Could Grand Tutor Zhang really be colluding with the northern border kingdom? Grand Tutor Zhang was about to speak up in protest when a guard Emperor Ming had arranged beforehand immediately gagged him tightly. If you dare open your mouth again, watch out for your dog life. The guard held a dagger to Grand Tutor Zhang's back, threatening softly. Grand Tutor Zhang stared in horror at the guard. What's happening? Could my dealings with the northern border kingdom have been exposed? Impossible, I did this so secretly, absolutely leaving no traces. The system continued. Grand Tutor Zhang colluded with the northern border kingdom, wanting to find someone easy to control as the heir to northern Zhao's throne, so he targeted the first prince, who has no family backing. To achieve this goal, he secretly investigated the minister's preferences, hoping to win over the powerful officials. These words from the system were like a bomb exploding in the ministers' hearts. They never expected that Grand Tutor Zhang, who usually spoke so righteously about morality and the nation, was secretly colluding with the northern border kingdom. Moreover, his reason for wholeheartedly supporting the first prince as crown prince was just so the northern border kingdom could easily manipulate northern Zhao. General Meng clenched his fists in fury. The northern border kingdom had been northern Zhao's mortal enemy. Though they had now submitted in the past, he himself had led troops against the northern border kingdom. How many soldiers had fallen? To him, the northern border kingdom would always be the enemy. Yet Grand Tutor Zhang dared collude with them, betraying the nation. If this was true, he swore he would personally behead this old traitor. Even the first prince was stunned. He had always thought people supported him because of his outstanding talents. Who would have expected they chose him simply because he was easy to manipulate? Was he really that useless? Those ministers who had received benefits from Grand Tutor Zhang now felt their hearts constrict. They had indeed received gifts from Grand Tutor Zhang, but who knew the old man was colluding with the northern border kingdom? The crime of colluding with enemy nations and betraying the country was enough for the execution of 9 generations of one's family. If Grand Tutor Zhang was captured, they feared their bribe, taking couldn't be hidden either. Some were so frightened they trembled. Lily had no idea the court was already in secret turmoil with people panicking. She continued asking, "So what are Minister Wang's preferences? If he doesn't like gold, silver, and jewels, could it be beautiful women?" The system suddenly became excited, its tone completely changing. You absolutely couldn't guess how Grand Tutor Zhang won over Minister Wang. But chance? Grand Tutor Zhang discovered that Minister Wang had no interest in feminine beauty, but actually preferred men in his heart, so he sacrificed his own charms and became intimately entangled with Minister Wang. What? How exciting! Emperor Ming and the ministers thought. As this entangled, what they're thinking it means. Minister Wang's neck veins were bulging. He just wanted to rush up and stop Lily from continuing, but Emperor Ming glanced once and immediately several guards restrained him. The ministers in front also cooperated well, slightly shifting to shield Minister Wang completely, afraid Lily might notice. After all, they still wanted to finish consuming this gossip. Lily continued, "But that Grand Tutor Zhang is so large and crude, what charms could he sacrifice? On the contrary, Minister Wang has an elegant bearing and is absolutely handsome. So this situation looks more and more like Minister Wang, tender as white cabbage shoots, being pounced on by that fat pig Grand Tutor Zhang." Because yesterday the system had exposed such a major piece of gossip, Lily had deliberately observed Grand Tutor Zhang very carefully when outside the palace gates. Paffed. Emperor Ming and the ministers nearly couldn't hold back their laughter. Miss Chen certainly knew how to make comparisons. At this moment, a scene had already formed in their minds. Minister Wang paired with Grand Tutor Zhang. Wasn't it just like tender white cabbage shoots being trampled by a wild boar? You don't understand. This is called beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You see Grand Tutor Zhang as crude and ugly, but Minister Wang is fascinated by this type. He especially loves the hairy mole on Grand Tutor Zhang's buttocks. Every time he kisses and licks it frantically, truly unable to let go. Oh heavens, how disgusting. I never expected Minister Wang to have such bizarre preferences. Emperor Ming and the ministers now had goosebumps all over. They couldn't believe that Grand Tutor Zhang, usually so stern and conservative, was so depraved behind the scenes. Minister Wang and Grand Tutor Zhang were now gagged and restrained by guards, so embarrassed they just wanted to die immediately. How did that system know about such private matters? The system continued. Minister Wang thought he had found true love and gave his whole body to Grand Tutor Zhang, so he obeyed the Grand Tutor completely. When Grand Tutor Zhang told him he must support the first prince at court and definitely push the first prince to the crown prince position, Minister Wang agreed without thinking. Furthermore, in this crown prince establishment affair, he put in the most effort, not only secretly forming cliques to help Grand Tutor Zhang win over ministers to their faction, but also deliberately spreading false rumors to slander the second prince. Oh ho, this is truly the power of real love. Let love. He's just been putting in one-sided effort. His feelings for Grand Tutor Zhang are obsessive, but he has no idea he's just one among countless men and women in Grand Tutor Zhang's harem. Throw him in there and you couldn't even find him. What? Grand Tutor Zhang is that promiscuous. Of course. Grand Tutor Zhang appears stern and conservative on the surface, but behind the scenes, he'll take anyone male or female. I don't know how many flowers and grasses he's slept with outside, the number is even greater than your emperor's harem. Emperor Ming and the ministers thought. Grand Tutor Zhang is nearly 50 years old. Where does he get the stamina to play around like that? With so many people, how does he manage? So does Minister Wang know about this? Obviously not. This is precisely Grand Tutor Zhang's brilliance. Though he sleeps with countless people, whether male or female, almost all are completely devoted to him, without a trace of resentment. Each person believes they are Grand Tutor Zhang's one and only true love. Impressive. Grand Tutor Zhang must be the ideal role model for all men. The ministers had just shown admiration when they immediately put on stern faces. You're a young lady, what do you know? We're all upstanding people. Only Minister Wang looked at Grand Tutor Zhang with murderous eyes. Didn't you swear you only loved me? Even Grand Tutor's wife in your household was just a cover to deceive the world. It was all lies to deceive me. Minister Wang thought he had found true love and entrusted his entire body to Grand Tutor Zhang, so he was completely obedient to the Grand Tutor. When Grand Tutor Zhang told him he must support the first prince in court, definitely pushing the first prince to the crown prince position, David Wang agreed without a second thought. Moreover, in this succession matter, he was the one who put in the most effort, not only secretly forming factions and helping Grand Tutor Zhang pull the ministers to their side, but also deliberately spreading false rumors to slander the second prince. Lily, oh ho, truly the power of real love. The system, what love? It was just his one-sided effort. He devoted himself wholeheartedly to Grand Tutor Zhang, but little did he know he was just one among countless men and women in Grand Tutor Zhang's harem of lovers. Throw him in there and you wouldn't even find him. Lily, what? Grand Tutor Zhang plays around to that extent. The system, what else? Grand Tutor Zhang appears stern and old-fashioned on the surface, but behind the scenes he's someone who plays with both men and women. Who knows how many flowers and grass he's slept with outside. The number is even greater than your majesty's harem. Emperor Ming and the ministers. Grand Tutor Zhang is nearly 50 this year. Where does he get the energy to play around like that? How can he handle so many people? Lily, so does Minister Wang know about this? The system, obviously not. This is precisely Grand Tutor Zhang's cunning point. Though he sleeps with so many people, regardless of gender, almost everyone is completely infatuated with him, without a trace of resentment. Each person believes themselves to be Grand Tutor Zhang's one true love. Lily, impressive. Grand Tutor Zhang must be the ideal role model for all men. The ministers who had just shown admiring expressions immediately became stern-faced. You're a young lady, what do you know? We're all upright people, aren't we? Only David looked at Grand Tutor Zhang with murderous eyes, full of rage. Didn't you once swear you only loved me? Even your wife at home was just a cover to fool the world, it was all lies to deceive me. Lily suddenly thought of something and continued asking. If that's the case, I suppose Minister Wang also doesn't know about Grand Tutor Zhang colluding with Beizhang to commit treason, right? The system, course not. To Grand Tutor Zhang, Minister Wang was just a free puppet who was easy to manipulate and could do work for him. How could he reveal such important matters to him? Lily nodded inwardly, not expecting Minister Wang to be such a lovesick fool, but she felt people like him weren't pishable at all. Just because he liked someone, he lost himself, couldn't even maintain basic morality, and would do anything to please the other person. Like this Minister Wang, as an important minister of Beizhou, yet in such a major matter as establishing the crown prince, he acted so foolishly. It's truly unacceptable. She hated this type of person most. In her previous life, she once heard about a lovesick father who divorced his wife for his mistress, then listened to the mistress and threw his own twin children from the 15th floor, killing them tragically. How could such people be pitiful? Everyone in court nodded in agreement, though they didn't understand what lovesick fool meant. They all agreed with Lily's viewpoint. That's right, if everyone were like Minister Wang, what hope would Beizhou have left? Emperor Ming also felt no sympathy for people like Minister Wang. This man received the court salary but didn't work properly, sacrificing Beizhou's interests to please others, forming factions, absolutely unforgivable. Only Minister Wang stood there in complete bewilderment. He had devoted his sincere feelings to Grand Tutor Zhang, never expecting to be manipulated. Meanwhile, Grand Tutor Zhang was still struggling in despair. How could he admit to colluding with Beizhang based on the words of a little girl like Lily, and that absurd system? If not for the guards gagging and restraining him tightly, he would definitely stand up to argue, cry out his innocence, even rush forward to teach Lily, the rumor spreader, a lesson. In the court, Lily and the system continued enthusiastically exposing scandals, revealing several more ministers who had been secretly bribed by Grand Tutor Zhang. Seeing the time was ripe, Emperor Ming gave a signal. A group of guards rushed in from outside. Leading them was Minister Song, commander of the Imperial Guards. This morning, as soon as Grand Tutor Zhang left his mansion, Minister Song had led people to storm into the mansion. Sure enough, in the wall to the right of the study entrance, they found a secret chamber. When the guards opened the secret chamber, the scene inside stunned them. My goodness, this secret chamber led directly to a large storehouse behind, filled with gold, silver, treasures, antiques, calligraphy, and rare artifacts. It turned out Beizhang had really emptied their coffers this time. Minister Song carefully searched through the pile of items and finally discovered an iron box locked tight. Without a word, he drew his sword and cut the lock, indeed finding correspondence between Grand Tutor Zhang and Beizhang. With this evidence, plus the tavern manager captured yesterday, now they had both witness and physical evidence. Grand Tutor Zhang had no way to deny it, even if he wanted to refuse to confess he couldn't. His legs went weak and he collapsed to the ground. Drag him out immediately. Emperor Ming ordered Grand Tutor Zhang to be taken away at once. As for Minister Wang and those who had received favors from Grand Tutor Zhang, they weren't arrested for now, but Emperor Ming had their residences monitored so they couldn't escape. Once Grand Tutor Zhang's case was resolved, he would deal with them all at once. Watching the chaos in court, Lily was initially confused, then silently applauded Emperor Ming in her heart. His Majesty is mighty. His Majesty is truly formidable, discovering Grand Tutor Zhang's collusion with Beizhang and Treason in the blink of an eye. Oh my! Truly worthy of being the most wise and handsome emperor in Beizhou's history. Every word of Lily's praise hit Emperor Ming's heart directly, making him feel so pleased his whole body tingled. In the midst of his rage, he suddenly felt elated, his anger dissipating by more than half, his lips involuntarily curving upward. Master Reed standing beside him breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Lily skillfully soothed His Majesty. Otherwise, if he had flown into a rage, servants like him would surely have suffered. But just after praising Emperor Ming, Lily suddenly changed her tone. Good. His Majesty has just confiscated the Grand Tutor's mansion. The National Treasury now has money, and Father can finally sleep peacefully. Though he's been claiming illness at home these past days, he hasn't stopped worrying about the natural disaster in the south. Because of this, he even sold many of his beloved paintings to raise money for disaster relief in the south, and even cut household expenses. Our family hasn't had a bite of meat these past few days. This year the south has been hit by continuous snow, many houses collapsed. People lost their homes and are wandering everywhere. Some starved to death, others froze to death in the streets. They're currently waiting for disaster relief funds from the court. Emperor Ming also had a headache over this matter. It wasn't that he didn't want to release treasury funds for relief, but Beizhou had been continuously at war in recent years, the national treasury was empty, and they couldn't come up with such a large sum at once. Moreover, those people led by Grand Tutor Zhang couldn't distinguish between urgent and trivial matters. Clearly natural disasters were imminent, yet they obsessed over establishing the crown prince every day in court, making Emperor Ming grind his teeth in anger. Hearing Lily's words, all the ministers looked at Lord Chen with respectful eyes. One had to admit Lord Chen was truly an official who served the country and people. Emperor Ming also looked at Lord Chen with full appreciation. Indeed, I didn't misjudge you. Lord Chen's heart bloomed like a flower at this moment, overflowing with joy, only lacking a tail wagging behind him. Lily is truly Father's good daughter, the ancestors' blessing. Our forebears' accumulated virtue gave me such a wonderful child. Though he did those things simply because he couldn't bear to see people suffer hunger and cold, Lord Chen wasn't a saint removed from worldly concerns. How could he not like this kind of free publicity that came at just the right time? Suddenly Lily sighed inwardly. "Ah, I'm craving meat so much. Look at my belly, I've gotten thinner by a whole size." The system? Your father is truly a good official. But master, do you think I don't know? Recently you haven't eaten meat, but you've eaten plenty of white rice and steamed buns. Look at your belly, where's the thinness? It's clearly gotten bigger than before. Lily looked down at her round belly. It's clearly thinner. The ministers nearly burst out laughing at this dialogue between person and system. Little Miss Chen was truly adorable. Even Lord Chen began to feel sorry for his daughter. Recently she had indeed been deprived. When court ended today, he'd have to tell the kitchen to buy more meat and make some good dishes tonight to compensate Lily. Lily continued. But system, don't think father is normally so serious. Behind his back he said plenty of bad things about his majesty. You just don't know. Before I had you, I used to sneak out at midnight to climb to my parents' bedroom window to eavesdrop on all those juicy gossips about his majesty. It was so exciting. Lord Chen. What? Emperor Ming. What? The ministers. Oh my. Emperor Ming's eyelid twitched repeatedly, his mouth corners spasming non-stop. Excellent. Lord Chen, you dare to gossip about me behind my back. Lord Chen's heart plummeted into an abyss. This wretched child, since when have you been sneaking to climb windows? You were so smug just now, and now. He hung his head low, only wishing he could tuck his tail and become invisible. He deeply understood what it meant to be Cloud 9 one moment, crashing down the next. Fortunately Emperor Ming wasn't a tyrant. Otherwise, just that statement alone would have been enough to cost him his head. Oh, having such a destructive child, forget about bringing honor to ancestors, just keeping his head on his neck would be blessing enough. After court ended, Emperor Ming didn't leave immediately, but kept several ministers and princes, including Lord Chen. He glanced at Lord Chen with meaningful eyes. Lord Chen, you certainly raised a fine daughter. Lord Chen felt awkward. Today's court session had truly been like extra intestines, twisting and turning 100 times. He couldn't tell if His Majesty was praising or scolding, so he could only force a smile. Your Majesty is too kind. Emperor Ming suddenly changed his tone. My dear ministers must have heard the inner thoughts of Lily and her system, correct? Regarding this matter, you must absolutely keep silent. Anyone who leaks word will be charged with defying imperial orders. Emperor Ming's weigh-in without anger made the ministers fearfully prostrate themselves, unanimously swearing they wouldn't dare utter half a word. As for the matter of establishing the crown prince. Before Emperor Ming finished speaking, the first prince hurriedly knelt down. Father Emperor, your son is guilty. Your son had no idea Grand Tutor Zhang was committing treason. I will handle your situations myself. What I want to tell everyone now is that establishing the crown prince concerns Beijiao's future. I need to consider carefully and won't rush into hasty decisions. But if I later discover anyone using this matter as a pretext for personal gain, harming Beijiao's interests, don't blame me for being ruthless. Yes, your son understands. After this incident, who would dare mention establishing the crown prince again in the near future? Unless they thought their life was too comfortable. Though Emperor Ming was an enlightened and capable ruler, anyone who could sit firmly on the dragon throne surely possessed both cunning and authority, especially a talented emperor like him. Seeing the ministers bowing their heads in silence, Emperor Ming nodded with satisfaction. Finally his ears could have some peace. As soon as she got in the carriage, Lily immediately fell asleep. Today's early morning court session had truly exhausted her. When Lord Chen returned to the mansion and saw Lily leaning against the carriage wall, sleeping like the dead, oblivious even if heaven and earth were spinning, he could only sigh. My goodness, what a troublemaker. Lord Chen had just sat down when he heard Lily suddenly smack her lips and mumble drowsily, meat, meat, eat meat. Lord Chen. You still want meat? You nearly got me killed today. What pipe dreams? Lily slept soundly, and the bumpy carriage ride couldn't wake her throughout the journey. When the carriage stopped at the Chen mansion gates, seeing her still snoring away, Lord Chen could only shake his head helplessly. This little troublemaker, she got to enjoy the drama while implicating her poor father. Looking at her face all wet with drool, Lord Chen had no choice but to reluctantly carry her inside. There's a saying. Sleep late, ruin the morning, wake early, ruin the day. Lily slept straight through until dusk, even skipping lunch. By dinner time she was so hungry her stomach was growling loudly. but Lord Chen couldn't swallow a single bite. He was troubled at heart, thinking about His Majesty knowing he gossiped behind his back and even spoke ill of him. Would this cause trouble later? Moreover, this destructive daughter of his thought all sorts of random things every day, making each early court session feel like walking a tightrope, constantly worried like stepping on thin ice. Oh, why did he feel his days were getting harder and harder? Beside him, Lily ate heartily. After swallowing a large steamed bun, she reached for another, thinking to herself, "Oh, if only there was some meat, it would be perfect. Strange, don't we have disaster relief money now? Why won't father let anyone buy meat? Lord Chen, you're eating so happily." He glanced at Lily's round belly and decisively put down his chopsticks, no longer wanting to eat. Lily looked confused at his retreating figure and asked, "Father, why aren't you eating? The steamed buns smell so good today." Lord Chen waved his sleeve. "I'm full already, what more is there to eat?" Lily, "Ha! Father, who made you angry?" Mother, "What's wrong with father? Who made father angry?" That night when going to bed, Lord Chen kept running to the window to peer outside. Lady Chen was puzzled. Why wasn't he sleeping so late at night, constantly looking out the window? Tonight Lily wasn't free to eavesdrop on her parents. Having been awake all day, she was now lying on her bed reading picture books. Recently a new picture book had come out called, "Your Highness, Please Be Gentle, This Concubine is Afraid It Will Hurt." Lily was reading with complete fascination, just reaching the climax. One had to admit the artists of this era were skilled, the drawings were so lifelike, especially the characters. Look at that prince, handsome face, perfect muscular lines, abs so firm they looked like they could bounce coins, his whole being radiating masculine charm. Lily stared until she nearly drooled. The system couldn't help but be speechless. It seemed this master wasn't just gluttonous but also lustful. Still, having bonded with Lily, the system felt it should remind this unreliable master, "Master, look how late it is already. Why aren't you sleeping yet?" Lily was reading intently, eyes glued to the book, not bothering to lift her head. "Soon. I'll sleep right after reading a bit more." The system, "You said the exact same thing 2 hours ago." Lily, Did I time I really mean it? Just a moment more." The system, "I'd be crazy to believe you. This morning you were just awakened by father using ice water. Did you forget so quickly?" Only then did Lily reluctantly tear her eyes from the picture book. "Oh right, good thing you reminded me. Otherwise I would have forgotten." The system, "Good thing you still listen to advice, not completely hopeless yet." But then Lily thought for a moment and called her maid. "Lu-Ru, please bring me another blanket." Lu-Ru didn't think much of it. In such cold weather, the second miss must be feeling cold. So she quickly brought another blanket. Lily took the blanket, spread it flat on the bed, then quick as lightning dove in, grabbed a corner and rolled twice, wrapping herself tight as a cocoon. After inspecting her work she nodded with satisfaction. "Humph, with your little tricks, how could you possibly outsmart me?" Then like a caterpillar, she slowly crawled into the blanket, and leisurely picked up the picture book to continue reading. The system watched its master wrap herself into a caterpillar, bewildered. "Master, so you're not planning to sleep after all?" Lily, "Sleep? Of course not. I'm at an exciting part, how can I sleep without finishing it?" The system, "Then why did you wrap yourself up so tightly?" Lily giggled. You'll find out tomorrow morning." Early the next morning, as usual Lily was still sound asleep, and the maid's calls couldn't rouse her at all. "Second miss, get up quickly, the master is coming." Seeing Lord Chen approaching with a grim expression, carrying a basin of ice water, the servants couldn't help but break into a cold sweat for the second miss, their bodies trembling as they hurriedly whispered warnings. Though yesterday's ice water basin hadn't hurt her, just thinking about being awakened by a basin of ice water in this freezing winter weather was unbearable. Yet their young mistress seemed not to have learned her lesson and still dared to oversleep. But Lily remained motionless as a stone, sleeping so soundly it made others envious. Lady Chen followed behind Lord Chen and couldn't help tugging gently at her husband's sleeve, whispering, "Isn't this a bit too cruel?" Lord Chen sighed. "I don't want to do this either, but this child just won't learn. Must I fight a battle every time I need to wake her for early court?" So Lord Chen didn't hesitate and once again threw the ice water basin onto Lily's blanket. Lady Chen could only shake her head helplessly, looking at her daughter with sympathetic eyes. But this time Lily's reaction was completely different from yesterday. She remained motionless, continuing to snore loudly. Everyone was stunned. What was happening? Why wasn't the young miss afraid of cold today? Lord Chen was equally puzzled, scratching his head before ordering the maids to lift Lily's blanket. Then everyone was dumbfounded. When they lifted the outer blanket, inside was Lily wrapped tight as a silkworm. No wonder the ice water had no effect. Maid Luru suddenly realized. Worthy of being our second miss, she actually thought of this method. Seeing this scene, the servants who had been worrying for her nearly couldn't contain their laughter. They bit their lower lips, their facial muscles trembling non-stop. Haha, when it came to these cunning tricks, their young mistress was definitely number one. Lady Chen was both amused and exasperated, while Lord Chen didn't know whether to cry or laugh. This actually works. Lily was completely oblivious, still snoring loudly, sleeping peacefully as if nothing had happened. Lord Chen shook his head helplessly and had to personally carry this tightly wrapped silkworm away. After some struggle, he finally managed to get this little ancestor into the carriage. At this moment, the secret guards watching from a distance nearly went crazy with laughter. Ha! Second Miss Chen is truly a talent. Some of us were lazy about getting up when we were young and had parents use similar methods to wake us. Why didn't we think of such a brilliant trick back then? Second Miss Chen is really interesting. Oh, should we report this to His Majesty? His Majesty once said that if anything unusual happened around little Miss Chen, we should report it to him. Does this count? In Funing Palace, Emperor Ming listened to the secret guard's report and burst into hearty laughter. Ha ha, this girl Lily is indeed clever. Isn't this policies from above, countermeasures from below? That rigid old man Lord Chen must be driven to death by his youngest daughter. Ha! Master Reed standing beside him also smiled like a blooming flower. One had to say Lily was truly his lucky star. Just moments ago His Majesty was still angry about yesterday's Grand Tutor Zhang incident and the bribed ministers, but in just an instant he'd gone from gloomy to radiant. When His Majesty was happy, servants like them naturally lived peacefully too. At this moment, Emperor Ming had finished changing his clothes and stood before the mirror, stroking his smooth chin with growing satisfaction, muttering, "I shaved my beard. I look quite a bit younger, don't I?" Master Reed smiled flatteringly. Your Majesty was already youthful. Emperor Ming suddenly changed his tone, but compared to Lord Chen. Master Reed, how could Lord Chen possibly compare to Your Majesty? Emperor Ming nodded with satisfaction. Good, that's acceptable then. Indeed, male vanity, who can escape it? On this side, Lord Chen had already carried Lily onto the carriage. Yesterday he hadn't slept well, so today he woke up later than usual. Now there wasn't time to change Lily's clothes at home, so he had to have the maids bring her clothes onto the carriage to change while traveling. He sat outside the carriage but still didn't forget to remind her. You must behave yourself today, understand? Lily. I was clearly very well behaved yesterday. During court, I just stood there quietly. I didn't even let out a single fart. Oh wait, I think there were still two, but whatever, nobody heard them anyway. The system. True, nobody heard them, but several ministers standing near you nearly fainted from the smell, especially court recorder Sam who was right next to you. Tell me, how can a small young lady like you produce such foul-smelling farts? Fortunately they didn't know it was you, otherwise you'd definitely earn the reputation of far-reaching stinky farts. Lily. You can't blame me for that. Father won't let me eat meat every day. You know I'm at a growing age and need balanced nutrition. Eating only steamed buns and white rice, all carbohydrates, how can I bear it? I have to eat beans to supplement, don't I? But it's fine, nobody knows it was me anyway. As she spoke, she pulled a handful of beans from her small pouch and crunched them loudly in her mouth. Lord Chen, how is this my fault? Lily. Right, system. You interrupted me and I almost forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I remember now. Father still dares to say I wasn't well behaved. You're the one who threw me into the snow pile, making me lose face in front of all the civil and military officials on my first day at court. I completely lost face, and I haven't even said anything about it, yet you dare blame me. Lord Chen, fine, you didn't say anything, but you certainly thought plenty of random things, didn't you? You only fell once, but because of your wild thoughts, I nearly lost my old life. And honestly, with your personality, do you even know what shame is? The maid changing the second Mrs. clothes in the carriage blushed from suppressing laughter, while the coachman outside was also trembling with effort not to burst out laughing. This second miss is truly too amusing. Finally the carriage stopped at the palace gates. Today Lily wasn't dozing off again, and because she had made her fall yesterday, today Lily wore a stubborn expression, firmly refusing help and insisting on getting off the carriage by herself. Lord Chen didn't stop her, just walked ahead by himself, but suddenly there was a thud from behind. Lily's short legs, when stepping down from the carriage, unfortunately lost their footing. So with another thud, she fell headfirst to the ground again. Lord Chen turned around and saw Lily once again successfully bury herself in the snow pile, helplessly covering his face with his hand. Surely this troublemaker's fall today isn't my fault. The maid in the carriage saw this and quickly got out to pull Lily from the snow. Seeing Lily's face once again covered with snow, the ministers nearly went crazy with laughter. This little Miss Chen is just too adorable. How can someone fall in the same spot twice? Haha. But remembering Minister Wan's painful lesson from yesterday, the ministers had become wiser now. They didn't dare laugh out loud in front of Lily, only trying hard to suppress it. General Meng was biting his lip, his shoulders shaking repeatedly. Minister Lin of the Court of Judicial Review was choking back laughter until tears came out. Prince Jing and Prince Wu were holding back laughter so hard their nostrils flared, while Prime Minister Li couldn't stand it and had to turn his back to Lily. Only Minister Liu of the Ministry of War, who had requested leave yesterday and wasn't there, now laughed loudly without restraint. Hey, everyone look, how did that chubby little girl fall like that? Ha ha ha, don't you think so, Minister Lin? Minister Lin, being called out, immediately panicked and quickly turned away, pretending not to hear. If you want to court death, fine, but don't drag me along. Sure enough, Lily, who was brushing snow off herself, heard someone laughing at her and calling her a chubby little girl. She immediately looked up sharply, glaring at Minister Liu with quite fierce eyes. But in Minister Liu's eyes, Lily was just an angry child, and seeing her like that, he laughed even louder. Lily, chubby little girl? The system, who's he calling a chubby little girl? Surely not me. Himph, he's the chubby little girl. The old chubby man, his whole family are old chubby people. Minister Liu, who was laughing maniacally, suddenly froze. Where did that voice come from? Who was just speaking? Could it be this little girl? What was happening? Could he hear her inner thoughts? The ministers looked at Minister Liu with sympathetic eyes, some even patting his shoulder. May heaven bless you, sir. Just as Minister Liu was still bewildered, Master Reed came to announce the start of court. Today the court discussed Grand Tutor Zhang's collusion with Bei Zhang, Grand Tutor Zhang's collusion with Bei Zhang and betrayal of the court, as well as the Southern disaster relief. Lily had read her picture book too late last night, plus with Grand Tutor Zhang's matter. She had gotten her fill of gossip yesterday and was no longer interested. So after listening for a while, she began to feel sleepy. Her eyelids kept fighting each other, and soon she gave up resistance and fell asleep standing right there. Indeed, thanks to years of training in the solid skill of sleeping while standing, Lily could sleep soundly even while standing. The system was frantically worried, constantly whispering reminders. My little ancestor, wake up, this isn't a place to sleep. Unfortunately, Lily was sleeping like the dead and wouldn't wake no matter how much she was called. Fortunately, everyone was discussing state affairs at the moment, and no one paid attention to Lily. Even the system's words were too quiet for anyone to hear, except for court recorder Sam, who stood closest to Lily and heard every word clearly. My goodness, he'd been a court recorder for so many years, and this was the first time he'd seen someone dare to sleep during court. Anyway, Lily was under his supervision. If he didn't wake her, would His Majesty blame him for lax management? Thinking of this, court recorder Sam broke out in a cold sweat. Just as court recorder Sam hesitated whether to wake Lily, her next action shocked him. Because Lily, sleeping while standing, began to snore. And this snoring, how to describe it, like thunder rolling, making even the ground nearby tremble. Court recorder Sam was stunned. My goodness, sleeping during court was bad enough, but couldn't she be a bit more discreet? Making such ear-piercing snores, was she afraid people wouldn't know she was sleeping? Throughout history, probably only Lily could do this. So the noisy court suddenly fell dead silent. Did they mishear? Why were there snoring sounds in court? Emperor Ming was also surprised. Someone dared to sleep in his court and snore too. Wait, this voice seemed familiar. Emperor Ming and all the ministers looked toward Lily simultaneously. At this moment, everyone was stunned. My goodness, what were they seeing? Someone was actually sleeping in court with thunder, like snoring. This snoring truly belonged only in heaven, rare to find on earth. Not only that, they could see little Miss Chen's mouth slightly open, with a stream of drool from the corner of her mouth hanging down about half a foot long. Everyone looked at Lily, then at Lord Chen, their faces showing clear disbelief. Was this really a refined young lady from a prestigious family? Lord Chen at this moment only wished he could find a crown to crawl into. Oh, heaven and earth, how did he end up with such a daughter? His Majesty also couldn't bear to look anymore. He feared that if he didn't quickly wake Lily up, his eardrums might not be able to take it. So His Majesty glanced and signaled to Eunuch Reed to go wake Lily. Eunuch Reed thought, my goodness. He'd attended so many early morning courts with His Majesty over the years, yet this was the first time he had to wake someone up right in the middle of court. Lord Chen's mood at this moment was truly complicated to the extreme. He didn't dare look at His Majesty's expression, yet couldn't help but look. After all, sleeping openly in the court hall wasn't a small matter. If they encountered a tyrannical ruler, she might be dragged out and beheaded on the spot. Though their Beizhou emperor was benevolent, he surely wouldn't tolerate such audacious behavior from his daughter. They saw Eunuch Reed walk over to Lily and extend one slender finger like an orchid, looking disgusted as he gently pushed her. His expression was as if he feared the drool hanging from Lily's mouth might fall on him. Unexpectedly, Lily was sleeping like the dead and didn't wake even when pushed like that. Court Recorder Sam beside her thought to himself, Master Reed, don't you see her build? How could one finger of yours possibly push her awake? Helplessly, Eunuch Reed had to take the whisk in his hand and tap Lily's head lightly. In the next second, they saw Lily jolt awake, then everyone witnessed her make a slurping sound, sucking the drool from her lips back into her mouth. Then she drowsily rubbed her eyes and asked in panic, "Who hit me?" Eunuch Reed stood to the side, surveying the scene, and couldn't help but shudder. Why did her slurping sounds seem so disgusting? Court Recorder Sam, as a court chronicler, thought to himself, I knew this would happen. Seeing Lily finally awake, Master Reed quietly returned to his position. All the officials and ministers in court silently. Goodness, how bold must she be? His Majesty remained silent. Just how deeply was she sleeping? Lily, facing all the eyes focused on her in the court hall, frantically asked the system in her mind, what's happening? Why is everyone looking at me? The system, seeing her confused expression, really didn't know what to say and could only answer, don't you know you were just sleeping during court? When Lily heard this, she immediately turned to stone. What? She had actually fallen asleep in court. Her mind began screaming frantically, System, why didn't you wake me up? The system could only sigh helplessly. You think I didn't try calling you? I called until my voice was hoarse, but you slept like the dead. No amount of calling could wake you. Honestly, this is the first time I've encountered a host who sleeps as deeply as you do. Lily hurriedly asked. So besides sleeping, I didn't do anything embarrassing, right? The system was at a loss for words and replied helplessly. What do you think? Not only did you sleep, you also snored. Your snoring thundered like a storm. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was an earthquake. Lily, no way. That's impossible. Scenes from movies she'd watched flashed through her mind, palace maids who couldn't control themselves and let out a fart in front of the emperor, being dragged away for execution. She thought in panic, after causing such a scene, will I be dragged out for execution? Emperor Ming heard her inner thoughts and sighed inwardly. What was all this? But whether he was truly angry or not, when something like this happened, he still had to show his attitude. His Majesty sternly shouted, Lily, you're truly bold, daring to openly sleep in court. Do you know your crime? Lily fearfully dropped to her knees with a thud. Your Majesty, please forgive me, this servant knows she was wrong. Lord Chen also quickly knelt down, pleading, please show mercy. Your Majesty, the young lady is a first-time offender, please spare her this once. His Majesty was about to speak when Lily silently screamed in her heart again. System. It's over, I'm dead for sure. I already said I wasn't meant for work. It's only my second day at work and I'm about to die again. Staying home eating gossip and listening to drama was so wonderful. Why do they keep forcing me to work? Lord Chen heard this and nearly spat blood in anger. Was this child trying to cut off all her own escape routes? Emperor Ming thought to himself, so it's my fault. If not for wanting to hear your inner thoughts. Fine. I'm an emperor, surely I won't stoop to arguing with a little girl. With no other choice, he could only console himself this way. Fine, since this is your first offense. I'll spare you this time, but don't let it happen again. Lily felt as if a weight had been lifted, quickly expressing gratitude. Thank you for your majesty's mercy, this servant absolutely won't repeat this offense. But in her heart she asked the system, help me quickly, how can I sleep without snoring? The ministers, you've got the wrong focus. You should be thinking about how not to fall asleep in court, not how to sleep without snoring. Do you think sleeping in court is normal? Emperor Ming sighed inwardly. Fine, do whatever you want. At this moment, Minister Song of the Imperial Guards suppressed his laughter and presented evidence. Your Majesty, the assets confiscated from Grand Tutor Zhang's mansion yesterday have been catalogued and stored in the National Treasury. Here is the inventory, please review it. Looking at the long list, Emperor Ming's expression grew increasingly grim. Very good, truly excellent. Though he knew Grand Tutor Zhang had taken bribes before, Emperor Ming hadn't expected the amount to be so vast. This Zhang fellow had incredible audacity. In his rage, His Majesty punched the dragon throne hard, frightening all the ministers into prostrating themselves on the ground. Lily also startled and quickly knelt down, thinking, my goodness, that scared me so much I farted. His Majesty, in the midst of his fury, heard this and immediately broke character, nearly bursting into laughter. Master Reed couldn't help but silently laugh to himself while giving a mental thumbs up. Little Miss Chen was truly talented. When others farted it was crude, but when she did it, it became medicine to heal His Majesty's mood. This fart was truly valuable, though thinking about it that way didn't seem quite right either. The ministers looked confused, so that fart just now was from Little Miss Chen. My goodness, this smell was so foul, truly toxic gas. Everyone quickly held their breath, with several ministers in the corners secretly covering their mouths, afraid of accidentally being killed by this fart. Lily noticed something was wrong and worriedly asked the system. Oh no, surely people can't smell my fart, right? The system was speechless. You're still talking. Who told you not to learn your lesson? Yesterday you already released 2 stinky farts in court, and this morning you ate a whole pile of fried beans. Of course you'd fart. The ministers heard this and screamed inwardly, so those 2 stinky farts yesterday were also from this girl. Minister Lin of the Court of Judicial Review felt vindicated, while Minister Luo beside him muttered. I already said yesterday it wasn't me who let them out, but you still didn't believe me. The system continued. Great, now you've gotten your wish. Your farts are famous throughout the land. Emperor Ming and the ministers couldn't help but silently chuckle. Famous farts. This system of Lily's was truly amusing to talk to. Wasn't Little Miss Chen already famous for her farts? Lily was indignant. No matter what you say, it's still because father won't let me eat meat. If I could eat meat, who would bother eating fried beans? System, tell me, is it easy for me? I just want to supplement my nutrition to grow a bit taller. Look at these short legs of mine, boo-hoo-hoo. The system. So you do know you're short. Lord Chen heard this and ground his teeth in anger. Enough already. You love eating beans, but now you're blaming me for it. That's completely unreasonable. There's no arguing with you. Emperor Ming and the ministers were astonished, so the mastermind was Lord Chen. You're being too harsh on your own daughter, aren't you? Look how thin she is. Most importantly, because you won't let her eat meat. We have to endure this toxic gas every day. Oh Lord Chen, where did your conscience go? Lord Chen, you all, don't tell me you actually believe this little devil's lies. She eats beans purely because she likes eating beans. Even when there was meat to eat before, she still ate beans as usual, never missed a single one. Even so, seeing the murderous cold stares from Emperor Ming and the ministers, Lord Chen had to concede defeat. Fine. When I return to the mansion today, I'll tell the kitchen to buy meat. Anyway, I've accomplished what I needed to do. If this happens again in the future, no one can blame me anymore. Their stares truly could kill without drawing blood, devastating to the heart. Finally, that unpleasant smell dissipated, and everyone dared to breathe a sigh of relief. Emperor Ming ordered all the ministers to stand up. Prime Minister Li stepped forward and respectfully reported, "Your Majesty, this minister believes that now that the national treasury is abundant, we need to urgently allocate disaster relief funds to rescue the people of the South from their dire situation." Emperor Ming nodded in agreement. "Prime Minister's words align perfectly with my thoughts. Then I entrust this matter entirely to you. You must ensure the relief funds reach the people as quickly as possible." Prime Minister Li solemnly replied, "This minister obeys your command." Just then, Minister Song of the Imperial Guards stepped forward and reported, "Your Majesty, after continuous interrogation by the Imperial Guards last night, Grand Tutor Zhang has confessed everything. Here is evidence of his collaboration with Beizhang, along with his written confession, detailing the court secrets he leaked to Beizhang, the list of officials he bribed, and the specific amounts. Please review this, Your Majesty." Minister Song presented a thick memorial. Master Reed immediately received it and respectfully presented it to Emperor Ming. Yesterday, the conversation between Lily and the system had only revealed part of the list of officials who received bribes from Grand Tutor Zhang, and hadn't detailed his collusion with Beizhang. Now, looking at the Imperial Guard's memorial, Emperor Ming frowned and clenched his fists. How audacious were these people? Since Beizhang's founding, foreign enemies had continuously invaded and wars had raged endlessly. From the day I ascended the throne, I devoted myself to restoration. Beizhang's generals fought many campaigns to sweep away enemies and achieve today's peace. Even so, I've remained constantly vigilant, not daring to be careless. Now with this evidence presented, those ministers who had harbored hopes of luck immediately couldn't bear it and collapsed to the ground, continuously begging, "Your Majesty, please spare us. This servant was momentarily possessed by demons, my judgment clouded. This servant knows he was wrong. Especially Minister Wang, yesterday, through the gossip duo of Lily and the system. He learned of Grand Tutor Zhang's despicable behavior and regretted it deeply, his face turning green with remorse. Now he only hoped His Majesty would be magnanimous and merciful." Looking at the ministers kneeling before the throne, Emperor Ming took a deep breath. Though I normally hate most when officials form private factions, or even take bribes and engage in corruption, I'm also not a tyrant who kills indiscriminately upon seeing wrongdoing. This incident implicated quite a few people. If he punished them all, the court would suffer greatly. Fortunately, most of them had only received small benefits from Grand Tutor Zhang and weren't involved in the collusion with Beizhang, so their crimes weren't unforgivable. However, to prevent similar incidents from recurring, Emperor Ming decided to make examples of a few people. Grand Tutor Zhang, naturally, didn't need discussion. He had committed crimes worthy of exterminating 9 generations of his clan, and David, being Grand Tutor Zhang's right-hand man, naturally couldn't escape. Emperor Ming immediately stripped him of his official position, sentenced him to 100 lashes, and banished in the frontier. Additionally, Emperor Ming severely punished 2 other officials, those who had received the most bribes and were most active in this succession matter. For the rest, Emperor Ming showed leniency and gave them a chance to reform, only confiscating all their previous bribes but warning that if they reoffended, there would be no forgiveness. As for concubine Hayes, because she had privately communicated with external ministers and interfered in succession matters, no small crime. But considering the first prince, Emperor Ming only demoted her to a lower concubine rank, considering it an act of mercy. The most pitiful was the first prince, originally a promising candidate for crown prince, but concubine Hayes's well-intentioned meddling had backfired. Though Emperor Min didn't blame or punish him, this incident would certainly affect his future. Alice, having a mother who didn't understand the situation, was truly cursed luck for 8 lifetimes. Just as the entire court was silent, everyone hanging their heads over this matter, suddenly a voice rang out. "Lily, system, who was that person who just called me little chubby girl, outside the palace gates?" The system, "Oh, him. That's Minister Lu, Minister of Rights." "Lily, really? A Minister of Rights publicly mocking a young lady like that? He made me so angry." System, "Does he have any gossip?" Minister Lu thought inwardly. "Why is little Miss Chen so vindictive? Oh, why did I have to tease her with my loose tongue?" The system, "Let me check. Oh my, there really is some, and it's a super huge piece of gossip." The system's voice suddenly became excited. Lily Relly, what is it? What is it? System, tell me quickly. Emperor Ming and the ministers immediately perked up their ears curiously, but to avoid Lily discovering they were eavesdropping, everyone pretended to continue discussing court matters, only their voices unconsciously became several degrees quieter. The system, ha, do you know? This Minister Lu has an extremely special hobby. He actually likes to stroke eggs. Lily. What's special about liking boiled eggs? Isn't liking to eat boiled eggs normal? I like eating boiled eggs too. Hearing the system's answer, all the ministers looked confused. Liking to eat boiled eggs was called a special hobby. Only Minister Lu's heart was now beating anxiously. Could this system really know what he had done? The system, how could they be the same? This stroking eggs isn't those eggs, it's stroking, that kind of stroking. Lily, stroking. System, explain clearly. Don't tell me it's what I'm thinking. Why does this feel a bit exciting? Emperor Ming and the ministers, stroke what? What does this mean exactly? Why doesn't this system speak human language? But at this moment Minister Lu's face had turned pale, and he just wanted to rush forward and gag Lily. But this time, without Emperor Ming even signaling, 2 guards had already rushed over with threatening looks, telling him not to move. The system. Master, don't be impatient, let me tell you slowly. This Minister Lu normally has no special hobbies. He doesn't like playing with women, nor does he like being teased by women, but he has a rather peculiar habit. Oh, he doesn't like playing with women, and doesn't like being teased by women. Don't tell me he likes men. Emperor Ming and the ministers looked shocked, all turning to stare at Minister Lu. My goodness, Minister Lu with such a tall, burly build, he liked men. Minister Lu thought inwardly. You're the ones who like men, your whole family's like men. The system. Good heavens, master, your imagination is too rich. Minister Lu doesn't like men at all. Everyone, oh, thank goodness he doesn't like men, that would be good. Otherwise it would really shatter our worldview. Lily, then hurry up and tell me. The system. Why do I feel you enjoy keeping people in suspense more than those gossipy maids? System, master. Don't be impatient, here it comes. This Minister Lu keeps several pairs of beautiful maids and handsome young men outside his mansion. When he's free, he'll go to that establishment and choose a pair of maids and young men, making them perform XXO right there on the spot, while he sits behind a curtain and plays with himself. Lily. How exciting. Isn't this the ancient version of AV? My goodness, this Minister Lu really knows how to have fun. Everyone, how exciting indeed. Now they understood what the system had been talking about. Emperor Ming thought inwardly. Are my ministers really playing this wildly nowadays? The ministers looked at Minister Lu again. Though they didn't understand what AV or XAO meant, they could guess the general idea from context. Who would have thought? Minister Lu seemed so refined and elegant normally, yet he had such hobbies behind the scenes. Indeed, though Minister Lu was tall and large, his speech and mannerisms were always graceful and dignified. This was also an important reason why Emperor Ming had appointed him as Minister of Rights. Suddenly Lily thought of something and asked suspiciously. System. Wouldn't doing that long-term cause a bunch of side effects, like lower abdominal pain, urgent urination, painful urination, even inability to get up? The system. Why wouldn't it? Ever since Minister Lu developed this habit, all sorts of complications followed. Now he can't last more than 30 seconds, sometimes not even 10 seconds. Lily, really? Only 10 seconds, that's way too short. Haha. Lily imagined Minister Lu's burly physique and connected it to that scene, somehow finding it amusing. But she couldn't laugh out loud now, so she could only suppress it in her heart while inwardly laughing hysterically. The ministers were also about to lose it. They either pinched their thighs hard or tried to think of sad things, just hoping not to burst out laughing, but it was so difficult. Just when they'd managed to summon a bit of sorrowful emotion, hearing Lily's demonic laughter made it all disappear. They couldn't hold it in anymore, really couldn't. Their minds were now filled entirely with the scenes the system had just described. Minister Yan was suppressing laughter so hard his facial muscles began to twitch. And even Emperor Ming couldn't control himself. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Lily had no idea what was happening in court and continued chatting with the system. So system, if Minister Lu is that short, how does his wife cope? Minister Lu thought inwardly. Lily, you're a young lady, why do you understand so much? Just speak appropriately, why ask so clearly? Don't I need any dignity? But the mood of all the civil and military officials enjoying this gossip was completely different. They were truly curious about how Minister Lu handled his marital relations in such circumstances, so everyone perked up their ears to listen. The system. You don't understand. Lady Lu has actually known about Minister Lu's situation for a long time, so she has no expectations of him anymore. Even when they occasionally interact, it's just going through the motions, but Lady Lu is not yet 30, she's not willing to suffer losses. So she's chosen a young servant in the mansion to satisfy her needs. This statement from the system was like lightning from a clear sky, striking Minister Lu directly in the head. What? His wife was secretly having an affair with a servant. Already ashamed from being about his inadequate performance, Minister Lu now felt even more desperate. The entire court secretly looked at him. Oh my, how tragic! Minister Lu was truly tragic beyond measure. But Lily became even more interested. Adultery is always the most delicious gossip. Lily, what? So Minister Lu is being cuckolded. Does Minister Lu know about this? The system? Of course not. Though he doesn't like playing with women, that doesn't mean he'd accept his wife having private relations with others. Lily. Well, Minister Lu brought this on himself anyway. But I don't understand why men just can't control their hands. System, tell me quickly, what does that servant look like? Is he as burly as Minister Lu? The system. That servant is completely different from Minister Lu. Minister Lu is a typical big man, while the servant is slender but wins with his refined appearance and gentle, considerate nature. Most importantly, he's young. Not only does he have stamina, but if conditions permit, 20 or 30 rounds in one night wouldn't be a problem. Everyone. My goodness, youth really is wonderful, so vigorous. Minister Lu was now both utterly ashamed and felt a pang of regret in his heart. Thinking back to his younger days, he had once been a hero who could battle for 300 rounds. But why? Why couldn't he live peacefully and had to do those things, unable to control his own hands? Emperor Ming and the ministers had equally complex feelings. As men, they both sympathized with Minister Lu while thinking his current fate was self-inflicted. But regardless, Minister Lu's nickname of stroking syndrome seemed to be set in stone. The ministers originally thought his gossip had ended here, but Lily's next statement became even more exciting, making those who enjoyed watching drama immediately tense up. They heard Lily suddenly ask, System, Minister Lu's 10 seconds must have broken records, right? In this entire court, surely no one is shorter than him, right? The ministers nearly spat out blood. Hey, if I remember correctly, Lily, you're only 13 years old. How can a 13-year-old young lady be discussing such matters between men and women? Moreover, are these topics appropriate for a 13-year-old young lady to inquire about? An official standing next to Lord Chen whispered, Lord Chen, is your family's education quite open? Lord Chen glared at that person. As an old father he was quite helpless too. Needless to say, this child must have been running around listening to gossipy maids and servants discuss such scandals in her spare time, which was how she became like this. Otherwise, how would a young lady understand such matters? At this moment, Minister Wu, standing next to the fifth prince, had been happily enjoying the gossip, but hearing Lily's question immediately became tense. He began silently praying. Don't mention me. Please don't mention me. The fifth prince felt no pressure at all. After all, he had long surpassed 10 seconds, so this matter had nothing to do with him. Not only that, he even joked quietly with Minister Wu. If a man can't even reach 10 seconds, can he still be called a man? Might as well just call him a eunuch. Don't you think so, Minister Wu? Minister Wu was already drenched in cold sweat, hanging his head and biting his lip without saying a word. Seeing Minister Wu like this, the fifth prince was a bit curious. Normally Minister Wu loved private jokes, which was why he'd said that. If it were anyone else, the fifth prince would never dare joke like this with a minister. But today, what was wrong with Minister Wu? Just then, the system's voice rang out. Oh no, you're completely wrong. In this court, Minister Lu with his stroking syndrome isn't the one holding the shortest record. That record belongs to Minister Wu, Minister of War. The ministers gasped. Emperor Ming thought inwardly, really? Another one from the 6 ministries. Are all my ministers this useless? The fifth prince stared at Minister Wu in shock. Really? There was actually someone shorter than 10 seconds. But thinking of his joke with Minister Wu just now, he felt a bit ashamed and quickly tried to save face. Ah, Minister Wu, I was just joking earlier. Men who doesn't have moments of failure. Once or twice doesn't matter. Minister Wu at this moment just wanted to gag the fifth prince. Couldn't he say a few words less? Not speaking wouldn't make anyone think he was mute. But he was a prince, how could he dare lay a hand on him? He could only force a smile, producing an expression that looked worse than crying. The fifth prince thought his damage control was effective and thought smugly. Indeed, I'm quick-witted. One sentence made Minister Wu calm down again. But the very next second, Lily asked the system, "This Minister Wu surely isn't like this every time, right? If it were just once or twice, that would be understandable." The system, "It's not just once or twice. Minister Wu Trute can't perform anymore. Actually, he wasn't this bad initially, roughly on par with the stroking syndrome case now." Back then his wife would still play along, pretending to be very satisfied, but later she really couldn't keep acting because it was too fast. "Lily, fifth prince, let's just pretend I never said anything." Minister Wu nearly fainted. How did that system know these things? Moreover, they'd clearly been talking about Minister Lu just now. Why did it suddenly drag his affairs into it and expose all his secrets? At this moment, a question began circling in all the ministers' minds. Why exactly couldn't Minister Wu perform? Did everyone in the 6 ministries have stroking syndrome hobbies? Just then, Lily asked exactly what they were thinking. So why can't Minister Wu perform? Does he also like stroking syndrome like Minister Lu? The system? No, that's not it. Seriously speaking, Minister Wu was injured in the line of duty. Lily, oh, how did that happen? The system. It's like this. Minister Wu's vital parts were injured on the battlefield. Actually, it could have been treated initially, but Minister Wu was too embarrassed to speak up and missed the best treatment window. Even now, no matter how many folk remedies he seeks, it's useless. Emperor Ming looked at Minister Wu's pale face and felt somewhat guilty. The matter the system just mentioned, I know it well. According to Beijiao's system, the Minister of War doesn't need to personally go to battle. That time the situation was special, all the great generals were at the frontier, and only 2 remained in the capital. One suddenly fell seriously ill, while the other had to stay to prevent emergencies. There really was no one else. At that time Minister Wu volunteered to go, willingly leading troops to the front lines. Don't think Minister Wu was just a civil official. Actually he was accomplished in both literature and martial arts. From childhood he'd followed his father in martial training and had developed considerable martial skills. That's why Emperor Ming agreed. That battle proved Minister Wu was indeed talented. With his abilities, he won the battle and helped Beijiao resolve the crisis. But who would have thought that very battle would cause injury to his vital parts? Knowing this, Emperor Ming naturally felt endless guilt. The fifth prince, who had just been secretly mocking Minister Wu, now couldn't help but feel strong respect rise in his heart. He'd heard his father mention the battle Minister Wu led many times. Without Minister Wu, Beijiao might have fallen into great disaster. Not just the fifth prince. At this moment nearly all the ministers in court secretly looked at Minister Wu. Their eyes were filled with respect, mixed with some regret. Lily, oh, what a pity. If this continues, won't Minister Wu's wife end up like the stroking syndrome's wife? Secretly keeping someone to satisfy herself. Lily's words were exactly what Emperor Ming and the ministers worried about. If such an excellent official was cuckolded because of this and lived unhappily, wouldn't that be adding insult to injury? Actually, this was also what Minister Wu worried about. He and his wife were childhood sweethearts, their feelings always deep. After this incident, he always felt guilty toward her. Though his wife constantly comforted him, he still felt uneasy inside. Especially after just hearing about Minister Lu's wife's actions, he couldn't help but start worrying vaguely. Fortunately, the system's words provided timely comfort to everyone. Oh no, that won't happen. Actually, most women in Beijiao are still very conservative, and Minister Wu's wife is one of them. Lady Wu is not only conservative but also genuinely faithful only to Minister Wu. Even though Minister Wu can't satisfy her later, as long as the couple is united and Minister Wu's heart always turns to her, she feels very happy. Compared to those men with full function but 3 wives and 4 concubines or who philander outside, Minister Wu is truly the perfect man for her. Indeed, though Minister Wu was already a second, rank official, his household had only Lady Wu. The couple's deep affection had always been admired by the entire capital. Lily didn't expect Lady Wu to be such a remarkable woman with progressive thinking. No wonder in an era when 3 wives and 4 concubines were normal, Minister Wu remained faithful only to her. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, especially Emperor Ming. I naturally hope an official who has served the country like Minister Wu can have a good ending. Though Minister Wu's current situation isn't perfect, it's not too bad either. I've decided after court ends, I'll find ways to treat Minister Wu. If the Imperial physicians can't do it, I'll seek famous folk doctors, no matter how much silver it costs. At this moment, Minister Wu had also released the burden in his heart. Though his secret was exposed before everyone. Thinking about it, this wasn't his fault, he had nothing to be ashamed of. Moreover, he clearly felt that everyone's looks toward him held no mockery but were filled with respect. More importantly, through today's conversation between the system and little Miss Chen, he learned his wife's true feelings and would never need to doubt her again. Not only that, he swore he would treat his wife even better in the future. This could be considered a blessing in disguise. In the entire court, only one person felt even more ashamed with nowhere to hide, that was Minister Lu. He'd originally thought having someone else as backup meant he wouldn't be too embarrassed. But it turned out from beginning to end, the fool was actually himself. Today's gossip truly left everyone's hearts with mixed feelings. After court ended, Emperor Ming deliberately kept Minister Lu and Minister Wu behind. Looking at Minister Lu's ashen face, Emperor Ming sternly consoled, no, Minister Lu, excess in all things is bad. As Minister of Rights, surely I don't need to teach you this principle. Hearing His Majesty's consolation, Minister Lu's expression became even more difficult, only wishing he could dig a hole and crawl into it. But before His Majesty, he could only nod repeatedly. This subject understands. After returning home, this subject will definitely reform completely. Emperor Ming nodded and turned to Minister Wu. Minister Wu, for Beizhou, you've suffered hardships for so many years. 6. Your Majesty and the people of Beizhou will never forget your contributions. But you must never hide your illness from the physician again. Your condition arose from serving Beizhou, and I absolutely cannot stand by and do nothing. I will summon the best Imperial physicians to treat you. You must cooperate fully with the treatment. Thank you deeply for your Majesty's concern. Minister Wu replied gratefully. Now that everyone knew about his situation, he actually felt relieved. After all, this wasn't something he had caused. The person who should really be ashamed was Minister Lu there. The egg stroker. Ah no. Minister Lu immediately dealt with all the beautiful courtesans and male servants he kept outside after court ended. As for his wife's affair at home, since he was also at fault, he didn't completely cut ties with her. But he didn't want to see her anymore. If she had already fallen for that male lover, he would fulfill their wishes. He directly gave Mrs. Lu a divorce letter and handed over the male lover's contract to them, letting them go off together. Hearing the aftermath of this gossip, Lily Chen also somewhat admired Minister Lu. After all, this was ancient times, so Minister Lu's approach could be considered tolerant. But she was very curious, were the former Mrs. Lu and that male lover truly in love? Of course not, the system replied. That male lover was only after Mrs. Lu's money. Besides, with his low status being favored by Mrs. Lu allowed him to act arrogantly in the mansion. Now that he had his freedom contract and had accumulated quite a bit of money from Mrs. Lu, as soon as he left the Lu mansion, he immediately disappeared to enjoy himself freely, not caring about Mrs. Lu at all. Regarding this outcome, Lily had nothing to say. Having eaten her fill of gossip, she contentedly prepared to go out with the system for a stroll. Today in court, she had slept enough, so now she was in high spirits, skipping cheerfully toward the market. The system was equally excited. This was the first time it had accompanied its host out since bonding. There were sure to be plenty of gossip opportunities on the street. Seeing Lily about to step out the door, Lord Chen hurriedly rushed over and grabbed her arm. Where are you going? Now the entire court could hear Lily's thoughts. This girl had no filter on her mouth and couldn't control her thoughts either. If he let her go out alone, it would surely cause a disaster. Lily looked puzzled. I'm just going out for a little stroll. She found it strange, going out had always been routine for her, so what was unusual about it? Why was her father so tense today? In this regard, Beijia was quite open. Although women's status wasn't equal to men's, going out to stroll the streets wasn't strictly forbidden, they weren't overly restricted either. But unexpectedly, Lord Chen still held her hand tightly, refusing to let go. You cannot go. Why not? Lily couldn't understand. She was just a tiny ninth-rank official, why couldn't she go out? Was there some rule that court officials had to stay home when not attending morning court? Lord Chen racked his brains and finally found an excuse. Have you finished handling all your official duties? He couldn't directly say that everyone could hear her thoughts, could he? Lily was dumbfounded. She was just a minor ninth-rank official who stood around yawning, dozing, or listening to gossip during court each day. What official duties? But Your Majesty didn't assign me any work. She thought hard but couldn't remember having any tasks. Didn't His Majesty tell you to follow Court Recorder Sam to learn record keeping? Have you finished learning? Lord Chen continued desperately. Lily scratched her head in confusion. When did His Majesty say that? I don't remember anything. In her heart, she secretly asked his system, what's wrong with father today? Something feels strange. The system replied. Probably because you both work at court and he sees you being too idle, so he's feeling unbalanced. Lily nodded. Right, he's being so petty. Why would he be jealous of his own daughter? I want to be busy too, but there's nothing for me to do. Court Recorder Sam doesn't give me any help. Besides, I don't understand other work anyway. Lord Chen, hearing this, nearly spat blood from anger. Who's being petty? Just then, Lady Chen approached. Seeing the tense father-daughter standoff, she quickly asked, what's happening with you two? Lily saw her savior and immediately complained, Mother, father's being petty and won't let me go out. Lord Chen winked at Lady Chen, who immediately understood and said, wait a moment, I need to discuss a few things with your father. After speaking, she pulled Lord Chen aside and whispered, I know you're worried about Lily's safety, but we can't keep the child locked up at home forever, not allowing her to go out. If it doesn't work out, I'll send a few more people to secretly follow and protect her in the shadows. Well, that's the only option left. The two had just finished their discussion when they turned around to find Lily had vanished. She had slipped away smooth as smoke, truly a headache-inducing child. Lady Chen pushed Lord Chen, hurry and chase after her. Don't let Lily get bullied out there alone. She then rushed off to arrange for guards. At this moment, the gossip duo of Lily was already strolling leisurely down the street. Today the streets were particularly lively. Both sides of the road were lined with various stalls selling all kinds of food, handicrafts, and miscellaneous items. There was roasted pork, fried chicken heads, candied nuts, roasted pork skin, and various preserves like dried apples, candied cherries, shredded pears, pickled ginger and dried plums. Looking at the spread, Lily could only drool, thinking to herself, oh my, I'm so hungry. The system was surprised. Didn't you just eat 3 steamed buns and 2 bowls of rice for lunch? How are you hungry again? Lily replied casually, you don't understand, my second stomach is hungry. Don't humans only have one stomach? Or is my information wrong? The system asked. Lily continued, I've been working for days now, so why is my wallet still emptier than my face? No good, I need to ask mother for some money tonight. The system thought to itself, sure, go ahead and ask, just don't be afraid of getting beaten. Host, you can't eat these delicacies anyway, so why not go ahead and see if we can catch some gossip? Lily nodded. Alright then. One person and one system continued strolling leisurely. Although Lily was just a minor 9th rank official, thanks to her gossip, gathering talents, she had gained some reputation in the capital. People often said that if you don't do anything wrong, you don't fear ghosts knocking at your door. But with Lily, she was more frightening than ghosts. She could drag all the secrets from people's hearts into the light. Therefore, everyone who saw her carried some fear, unconsciously keeping a distance of 4 or 5 yards, just enough to eavesdrop on others' business while not being close enough to attract her attention. But there are always 1 or 2 people in this world who aren't afraid of death. Sure enough, as Lily was walking, someone called out to stop her. Little Lady Chen, what an impressive bearing. The first female official of our Beijia is truly unique. Walking down the street with such an arrogant manner, strutting like a peacock. The only thing is, oh right, what rank does little Lady Chen hold? Oh, let me see with this memory of mine. If I'm not mistaken, it should be a minor ninth rank position, right? Looking at your proud demeanor just now, acting like you don't consider anyone worth your attention. One would think you're some high-ranking official. Lily glanced at the speaker, a young lady who, judging by her dress, was clearly the daughter of some official family. Was this person sick or something? Even before becoming an official, she walked the same way, and no one said anything. Besides, how did her walking interfere with anyone? This person was just meddling. Lily looked at her opponent and pursed her lips in response, speaking in a nonchalant tone. Who are you to speak so sorely? You probably didn't eat anything for lunch today and just drank vinegar, right? Paffed. The surrounding crowd couldn't help but burst into laughter. It looked like there would be a good show to watch. Emma Morrison not only gained no advantage but was also ridiculed by everyone. Feeling stifled with anger, she was about to open her mouth to retort when she suddenly heard the system's voice. I just investigated. This young lady is the eldest daughter of Minister Morrison, a fifth-rank external secretary of the Ministry of Rights, named Emma Morrison. Host, she's jealous of you. Emma thought to herself, am I jealous of her? As if. But she didn't dare say it aloud, knowing that if Lily discovered she could hear her opponent's thoughts, this head would be hard to keep. Lily wondered internally. Emma Morrison. I don't know this person at all, why would she be jealous of me? The system explained, probably because of you becoming an official. Lily became even more confused. Becoming an official. What's there to be jealous about? Does she envy that I have to wake up at 3 a.m. every day to listen to those boring ministers say things I can't understand? This was Lily's genuine thought, but when it reached Emma Morrison's ears, it sounded like provocation. Emma looked at her with a contemptuous smile. Tell me, a young lady like you who knows nothing about music, chess, calligraphy, or painting, and doesn't understand domestic arts, spending all day gossiping with servants and maids. I don't understand what His Majesty saw in you to make you an official. Lily blinked and replied with a casual tone. I'm quite curious about that too. Why don't you go ask His Majesty for me? Lily was genuinely curious. She never wanted to be an official in the first place. She didn't understand why, among all the people in the world, His Majesty insisted on making her an official. But this statement only made Emma Morrison angrier. She pointed at Lily, stammering for half a day before only managing to say, You. Lily suddenly slapped her forehead. I almost forgot, if you want to meet His Majesty, it seems quite difficult. Like me, before becoming an official, I never met His Majesty even once. Unfortunately, His Majesty and I still aren't close, otherwise I would have gone to ask him myself. It might sound unbelievable, but Lily truly had no intention of being provocative. She was just stating the facts. But after Emma heard this, she was so angry her face turned red. She had originally just found Lily's smugness a bit irritating and planned to tease her with a few words, never expecting to end up humiliated instead. The surrounding crowd watching the excitement nearly went crazy with laughter. Who would have thought little Lady Chen's tongue was so sharp, truly killing without bloodshed? I really was just telling the truth, Lily thought. Host, it seems you've made her angry, the system observed. Really? Emma Morrison is that petty? What did I even say? The surrounding crowd thought. Right, you didn't say anything, except every sentence struck right at her heart. At this moment, Lord Chen had hurriedly approached Lily from a distance, just in time to encounter Minister Morrison, the external secretary of the Ministry of Rights. Although the two weren't close, they were both upright officials serving in court, so they had some mutual understanding. Lord Chen politely greeted him. Minister Morrison, you're here too. My daughter has been out for a while, and my wife asked me to find her and bring her home. I see. Speaking of which, Minister Morrison and his wife have been married for years with such good relationship, truly admirable. Lord Chen genuinely felt that Minister Morrison and his wife's relationship was very admirable, something everyone in the capital knew about. Not at all. Lord Chen and Lady Chen's relationship is what's truly admirable. Where are you going, Lord Chen? What a coincidence, I'm also looking for that mischievous child of mine. You mean little Lady Chen, right? You're joking, little Lady Chen is favored by His Majesty. Others envy her before it's too late. The two men chatted and laughed as they walked toward the crowd. My lord, our second miss seems to be up ahead, a servant quickly reported. That child, I don't know what she's doing here again. Minister Morrison, please go ahead with your business. Just then, a maid from the Morrison family ran over and whispered, My lord, our miss is also over there, apparently talking with little Lady Chen. Oh my, what a coincidence indeed. Shall we go over there together? Lord Chen smiled. Very well. Minister Morrison also smiled in reply. Others might fear little Lady Chen, but he wasn't afraid. He considered himself upright and honest with nothing shady to hide, so there was nothing to worry about. At this moment, Willie was chatting with the system. System, didn't you say Emma Morrison was jealous of me earlier? What's that all about? Here's the thing. The system replied. Speaking of which, Emma Morrison's mother, Snow Lee, used to be your mother's best friend, but later they fell out because of your father. What's this troublesome thing saying now? Lord Chen thought. The smile on Minister Morrison's face immediately stiffened. How did he not know his wife once had such a relationship with Lord Chen and Lady Chen? The crowd around them perked up. What's this? Why do I smell the scent of major drama brewing? They all pricked up their ears. Today was truly lucky, just coming out and already getting to hear little Lady Chen's gossip. They had to squeeze in closer. Emma Morrison was also stunned. Her mother had never told her half a word about this. What was really going on? What? System, hurry and tell me what this is about. Did father really play the field? When did I ever play the field? Lord Chen protested. Minister Morrison looked at Lord Chen with an extremely complex expression. Lord Chen quickly shook his head. Don't look at me, I truly never did anything to wrong your wife. Everyone perked up their ears even more, wanting to hear what exactly had happened. That's not it. The system clarified. The story is that your father was the #1 handsome man in the capital when he was young. Many noble ladies secretly admired him and wanted to marry him. Snow Lee was one of them. Unfortunately, your father only ever liked your mother from beginning to end and never glanced at anyone else. There was such a thing. So did Snow Lee know about father and mother's relationship? Lily asked. Of course she knew. Your mother considered her the closest friend and told her everything. But Snow Lee was secretly jealous because your mother surpassed her in everything, beauty, family background, and even the person she secretly loved didn't like her but liked your mother instead. So when she learned your mother also had feelings for your father, not only did she not offer congratulations, but she was afraid the two would become a couple, leaving her with no chance. She frequently sent secret love letters to your father and deliberately spoke ill of him in front of your mother, claiming he was a hypocrite who appeared gentlemanly but was actually fake and promiscuous, even secretly trying to seduce her behind your mother's back. Lord Chen finally remembered, so it was her. All these years, if the system hadn't reminded him, he would have truly forgotten about this person. Back then, he found it strange, he and Cloud Lady were doing well, but suddenly there was a period when she became cold toward him. It turned out Snow Lee was playing tricks behind the scenes. Fortunately, he persisted and didn't give up, eventually moving Cloud Lady. Cloud Lady was Lady Chen's maiden name. What? There was such a thing. So Snow Lee is a genuine green tea bitch. Indeed, guard against fire. Guard against theft. Guard against your best friend. You know a person's face but not their heart. Although not all best friends are like Snow Lee, sometimes you must be careful, especially when it involves interests or romantic feelings. It's best to pay more attention, because human hearts are hard to test. After hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. Although some of Lily's phrases like green tea bitch, guard against fire, guard against theft, guard against best friends, weren't completely understood, they absolutely agreed with the principle she stated. Felix Morrison stood to the side with an expression of disbelief. He knew that Lord Chen was very popular in the capital back then, and many women had admired him, that he knew. Back then, he had even jokingly asked his wife why she chose someone without power or influence, and who wasn't as handsome as him, so different from the outstanding Lord Chen. His wife had said she disliked people like Lord Chen the most and only liked his type, which made him feel very pleased. But thinking back now, it turned out she had been lying to him. But why did she do that? Actually, even if his wife had said she once admired Lord Chen, it wouldn't have mattered. That was all before marriage. Admiring an outstanding person wasn't a big deal, as long as nothing crossed the line. Only Emma Morrison couldn't believe it. How could her mother be such a person? She was about to speak up in protest, But a maid beside her quickly tugged at her sleeve and whispered, "Miss, have you forgotten His Majesty's decree? We mustn't let little Lady Chen know we can hear her thoughts." Emma had no choice but to swallow her anger and suppress her rage. Lily continued asking, "What happened next?" "Afterward," the system replied, "your father remained devoted to your mother, persistently pursuing her until they finally resolved their misunderstanding and got together. Your mother also discovered what Snowly had done to your father, recognized her true nature, and cut off all ties with her, never associating again. As for Snowly, because she couldn't be with your father, she was so angry she gritted her teeth and swore to find someone better than your father in this lifetime. But with her conditions, those better than your father wouldn't give her a second glance. So she changed direction and chose someone with potential. That's how she targeted the current Minister Morrison." Back then, Minister Morrison had ordinary origins but was young and promising. Many people in the capital valued him highly. Sure enough, Minister Morrison later lived up to expectations, rising from an unknown minor official to a fifth-rank external secretary of the Ministry of Rights, highly valued by His Majesty. Not only that, Minister Morrison was also a sincere person who listened to Snowla's every word. Nearly everything in the household was decided by her. "Isn't that good then?" Lily asked. Everyone nodded in agreement. Snowly was lucky to marry such a good husband. "Who says it's not good?" the system replied. "Unfortunately, human greed knows no bounds. The snake wants to swallow the elephant." Everyone thought Snowly was fortunate and living happily, but she herself didn't think so. She still couldn't forget your father and always resented your mother. Although Minister Morrison was already excellent, she felt he still fell far short compared to your father, so she would constantly compare Minister Morrison to your father at every opportunity. Not only that, she would daily compare Emma Morrison and her younger daughter to you and your elder sister, and compare her sons to your elder brothers. She wanted her husband and children to surpass your mother before she could feel psychologically balanced. But your father, elder brothers, and elder sister were all too outstanding. No matter how they compared, they couldn't surpass them. The only place she could find some psychological comfort was with you. Really? Everyone thought incredulously. What on earth was Snowly thinking? She was clearly the one in the wrong to begin with, yet she harbored resentment against others. Decades had passed, and not only could she not let go, but she also dragged the next generation into it, truly a serious illness. Lily wore an expression of innocence. "Really? Am I that terrible? I'm fair-skinned, beautiful, and have long legs. Well, maybe my legs are a bit short, but it doesn't affect anything. Most importantly, I have many advantages, like music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. No wait, the 4 books and 5 classics. That's not right either. What is it then? Strange, I clearly have many advantages, so why can't I remember any of them today?" "Oh right, I remember now, the system replied. "System? Look, even His Majesty praised me as clever and sharp-witted, personally appointing me to court. That alone is enough proof that I'm excellent, right? How dare they speak ill of me behind my back?" The people nearby nearly burst into laughter. Little Lady Chen's way of speaking was truly amusing, but Minister Morrison couldn't laugh at all. He never imagined his wife was such a person. Was this still the Snow he knew? In his eyes, though Snow had a somewhat difficult temperament and was rather strict with him and the children, it was because she wanted them to improve, for the good of the family, wasn't it? But now it seemed completely different. He and the children had merely been tools for her to compare with Lady Chen. Perhaps from beginning to end, Snowly had never truly liked him. "You're not wrong," the system continued, "but it's precisely because of this that Emma Morrison feels indignant. She originally thought you couldn't accomplish anything, spending all day eating, drinking, and playing around, only knowing how to gossip with servants and maids, completely worthless. Among all the young ladies from official families in the capital, she looked down on you the most. But unexpectedly, His Majesty chose you, making you the first female official in Beijia's history, which infuriated her. Her mother scolds her daily because of this, saying she's useless and can't even compare to you. So now Emma Morrison is madly jealous of you, wishing you would be struck by a carriage when you go out, choke to death on food while eating, or drown while drinking water." Minister Morrison looked at his formerly obedient and sensible daughter with disbelief. When had she become so vicious? Everyone also looked toward Emma Morrison in unison. Young lady, really. Little Lady Chen becoming an official doesn't interfere with you in any way. Why do you hate her so much, even cursing her to die? Lily also felt this was completely unreasonable. What's wrong with this mother-daughter pair? What grudge do I have against them to be so malicious? Besides, I truly don't understand what's so appealing about going to court. Anyone who wants to can go, I really don't want to at all. But speaking of which, some parents truly have problems. They force their children to fulfill wishes they themselves couldn't achieve, constantly comparing their own children to other people's children. Are children born just to fulfill their parents' desires, or to be tools for parents to show off and compete with others? Hearing these words from Lily, everyone nodded in agreement. Little Lady Chen spoke nothing but truth. They truly empathized. Their parents did nothing but compare them to neighbors or friends' children every day. The slightest shortcoming would immediately result in a lecture, making them extremely fed up, yet powerless to do anything about it. Thinking of this, everyone secretly admired little Lady Chen. Looking at her carefree demeanor all day, not needing to study anything, with such a lively and open personality, clearly not the type to be forced by parents to learn this and that. Lord Chen and Lady Chen were truly enlightened and admirable. Lord Chen could only laugh awkwardly upon hearing this. Haha, we also want her to learn something more. It's just a pity that whenever this girl Lily attends class, she either dozes off or busies herself listening to other people's gossip. She learns nothing of academics or proper skills, but she turns people's secrets completely inside out. That's not even the end of it. When punished by the old tutor to stand, she would stand there and sleep, snoring loudly enough that the entire class couldn't study. The old tutor was so angry he nearly fainted on the spot. After several such incidents, no tutor dared accept her as a student anymore. Regarding Lily's opinion, the system also agreed, but it suddenly revealed another piece of gossip. Your words aren't wrong, but this Emma Morrison, whether it's inherited from her mother or not, is truly not a good person. She once deliberately sabotaged your elder sister's romantic prospects out of jealousy. Her methods were exactly like her mother's from years ago. Upon hearing this, Lily immediately flew into a rage. What, you shameless thing, how dare you try to steal my sister's man? Just watch me beat you to death. She raised her head and saw Emma Morrison glaring at her with eyes that seemed ready to devour her alive. Lily thought to herself, "Humph, why does this person look so fierce? She's clearly the one in the wrong, not me." Having been too absorbed in the gossip earlier, she hadn't paid attention to Emma Morrison's expression. The system quickly intervened. "Host, calm down. The man pursuing your sister wasn't worth much either. He appeared to be a modest gentleman on the surface, but was actually a genuine scoundrel. If not for Emma Morrison's interference and sabotage, your sister might have been deceived by him. Later, she even willingly gave herself to him because of that man. Unfortunately, he just pulled up his pants and walked away, not caring about her at all." Hearing this, Lily burst into laughter. "Ha, then I should thank her on my sister's behalf. For my sister's happiness, she didn't hesitate to sacrifice herself." Emma Morrison, having her shameful deeds exposed right in the middle of the street, was so embarrassed she couldn't bear it. She could no longer control herself and burst into tears with a wail, rushing forward to hit Lily. But before she could make a move, Minister Morrison had already grabbed her ear and shouted, "You wretched creature! How dare you continue making a scene here? You've made our Morrison family lose all face. Now get home immediately." At this moment, Felix Morrison felt like going crazy. Good heavens! The obedient and sensible daughter in his eyes had secretly done such shameful things behind his back. What harmonious marriage, what loving mother and filial daughter. It turned out the happiness he had believed in for so long was all false, everything was fake. He, Felix Morrison, was nothing but a laughingstock, a tool for Snowly to satisfy her vanity. "Father, let me go. I'm not going home. Today I must beat her to death." Felix Morrison turned Lord Chen and bowed. "Lord Chen, today's incident is my daughter's fault, causing you embarrassment. Another day, I will personally come to your door to apologize." After speaking, he dragged Emma Morrison home while pushing and pulling her. Lily watched this scene and asked the system in confusion. "System, how did Minister Morrison find out about Emma Morrison losing her virtue so quickly?" "Well, it looks like Emma Morrison will get a good beating when she gets home this time." Lord Chen shook his head. When my daughters don't go out, it's fine, but once they do, they cause chaos throughout the streets. I'm afraid Minister Morrison's household won't have peace from now on. But Snow Lee and her daughter brought this upon themselves, daring to scheme against Cloud Lady and Grace. I only feel sorry for Minister Morrison. You troublemaker, hurry up and come home with me. Lily jumped in surprise. Father, when did you start following me? I only said a few words to Emma Morrison. I didn't cause any trouble. She had been too busy gossiping to notice when her father had appeared beside her. Lord Chen thought to himself, right, your mouth only said a few words. But in your heart you've already stripped bare all of their family secrets. Lily suddenly remembered something and her eyes lit up. Oh right, father, do you have any money with you? Thinking of the delicious food on the street, her mouth began to water again. Money. What do you want money for? To buy food, of course. Father, look, I haven't had meat in so long, and I just saw so many delicious things. Please give me some money. In her heart, she thought, now I'm also a working person. You can't be so stingy as to withhold my wages, right? Lord Chen was speechless. You've only been working for a few days, and you're already demanding salary. But over the past few days, he had vaguely understood that going to work probably meant attending morning court, roll call, and official duties, while salary likely referred to government pay. It's almost dinner time now. Don't eat those snacks, let father buy you meat later, Lily exclaimed with joy. Really? You're not lying to me, are you? Lord Chen sighed. When have I ever lied to you? At this moment the guards sent by Lady Chen had also caught up. Lily still wanted to play more, but Lord Chen had official business to handle, so he let the guards accompany her while he returned home first. As soon as Lily left, the crowd immediately gathered together, discussing the events that had just occurred with great excitement. Tell me, it was clearly Emma Morrison who came to cause trouble with little Lady Chen, but in the end she was the one crying. Exactly. Not knowing her own worth, this Emma Morrison really has no shame doing such things. Oh, how disgraceful. Like mother, like daughter, with a mother like that, how good could Emma Morrison be? That's right. Look at little Lady Chen, she's kind, adorable, interesting, and has such upright moral principles. Every word she spoke was truth. You can tell that Lord Chen is deeply learned and Lady Chen comes from a distinguished family, raising such a daughter. Right? But now that Emma Morrison's shameful deeds have been exposed, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for her to find a good family to marry into in the future. She brought it on herself, not worthy of pity. But speaking of Lord Chen, I really didn't expect he had such charm. Married for decades and still being pined after by others. Lord Chen was the #1 handsome man in the capital back then, captivating countless young ladies. But this can't be blamed on Lord Chen. From beginning to end, he was devoted only to Lady Chen. On the contrary, that Mrs. Morrison, it was fine when she secretly admired someone before, but now she's married with children, yet still pines for another man. What's that about? Exactly. Honestly, the most pitiful is Minister Morrison. Although his official rank isn't as high as Lord Chen's and his appearance doesn't compare, he's a very good person who devoted himself completely to Mrs. Morrison and the family. Now that he knows the truth, I wonder if he'll still be the same as before. Meanwhile, Emperor Ming was carefully reviewing memorials when he came across one submitted by Felix Morrison. Emperor Ming had been quite satisfied with Felix Morrison and was even planning to promote him. But just then, the shadow guard beside Lily came to report, recounting the street argument between Lily and Emma Morrison. Emperor Ming couldn't help but be amazed. He never expected that while Felix Morrison was thorough in court affairs, his family matters were in complete chaos. There's an old saying, if one cannot sweep one's own home, how can one sweep the world? Especially with Felix Morrison's wife and daughter being so excessively jealous and causing such scandalous behavior. Though Emperor Ming had intended to promote Felix Morrison, with such disgraceful incidents occurring in his household, as an external secretary of the Ministry of Rights, it would be difficult to convince the other ministers even if the emperor wanted to promote him. Therefore, before Felix Morrison could properly resolve the sordid affairs in his home, the promotion would have to be temporarily shelved. On the other side, Emma Morrison was crying miserably as Felix Morrison dragged her back to the Morrison mansion. Seeing her daughter crying until her eyes were swollen, Mrs. Morrison asked suspiciously. What's wrong with you? Who bullied you? Tell Mother, and Mother will go settle accounts with them. Emma Morrison suddenly flew into a rage, pointing directly at Mrs. Morrison and screaming. It's all because of you. Because of you. Everything is because of you. After saying this, she angrily ran straight to her room. Mrs. Morrison stood stunned, muttering, "This child gets more unreasonable as she grows up. I worked so hard to raise her, yet she dares blame me. She suffers grievances outside and comes home to take her anger out on me. Useless thing, say a few words less." Minister Morrison glared at her, his face dark as he strode inside. Mrs. Morrison, scolded by her husband, felt confused. Her husband had always been gentle and rarely lost his temper. Usually he would listen to whatever she said. What was wrong today? Was there some problem? Hey, did you take the wrong medicine? Why are you suddenly yelling at me? She followed him inside indignantly. But Minister Morrison didn't even look at her and just sat down to eat by himself. Mrs. Morrison became even more irritated and spoke up. Look at you, just focusing on eating alone. What about Emma? Will she starve to death from missing one meal? Minister Morrison didn't raise his head, his expression remaining gloomy. What's gotten into you today? Why are you talking so strangely? Mrs. Morrison, unaware of what had happened on the street, continued complaining irritably. Minister Morrison couldn't be bothered to respond and just kept his head down eating. But his expression grew increasingly ugly. Morrison still had no idea and continued nagging. Look at yourself, your beard is all messy and you won't trim it properly. And that belly is so fat, yet you don't know to eat less. Look at Lord Chen over there. Baying. Minister Morrison slammed his chopsticks down hard on the table, startling everyone in the room into silence. None dared make a sound. The master had always been gentle in temperament. In all their years at the Morrison mansion, they had never seen him lose his temper. What was happening today? Minister Morrison shot to his feet, waved his hand to dismiss all the servants, his face dark as storm clouds, and shouted loudly, "Shut your mouth. All day long you only know how to compare me with Wei Wei. If he's so good, why didn't you marry him back then instead of marrying me?" Mrs. Morrison was stunned by Minister Morrison's unexpected outburst. What are you saying? Having reached this point, Minister Morrison no longer bothered to hide anything. Don't think I don't know. Back then, the person you wanted to marry wasn't me, but Wei Wei. Though you married me, your heart has always been with him. For decades, your heart has only held him. Am I right? You're talking nonsense. Mrs. Morrison's face changed color. She didn't understand how events from decades ago had suddenly come to light, but she stubbornly refused to admit it. Isn't it true? Ever since we married, you've found fault with everything I do, constantly comparing me to Wei Wei. Before, I was foolish enough to think you did this for my own good, for our family's sake, wanting to encourage me to improve. Only now do I realize it was all just to satisfy your ridiculous vanity. You misunderstand me, my lord. I truly only wanted what was best for our family. Best for our family. So Emma's affair was also for the good of our family. At the mention of Emma Morrison, Felix Morrison was so angry he felt ready to explode. Emma? What about Emma? What about her? You still have the face to ask me what about her? Snow Lee, let me ask you, are you truly confused or just pretending to be? Emma interfered in someone else's romance, trying to steal another's boyfriend, and even... Oh, I can't even bring myself to say it. It's absolutely immoral. Mentioning this made Felix Morrison feel like his chest was being squeezed shut. He truly hoped Snowly would tell him this wasn't true, that the system had been mistaken, but unexpectedly Snowly replied casually. Oh, that matter. If you already know, I won't hide it anymore. Yes, this did cause some trouble for Emma, but you can't really blame her. She actively fought for her own feelings. What's wrong with that? Felix Morrison stared at Snowly as if looking at a stranger, unable to believe his own ears. Good heavens, was this the Snowly he knew? Her own daughter had caused such a scandal, yet she remained so calm, as if talking about someone completely unrelated. Moreover, she didn't think she was wrong and didn't even see any problem with the situation. Snow Lee continued speaking, but Felix Morrison had already reached the peak of his anger. Slap. A crisp sound rang out, leaving a red handprint on Snowla's pale cheek. Snow Lee covered her face, looking at Felix Morrison in disbelief, her voice hoarse. You dare hit me? Felix Morrison's face was frighteningly dark. He lowered his hand, so angry he could barely speak fluently, as if unable to believe such words could come from his wife's mouth. You are truly blinded by jealousy. Are these the words a mother should speak? It wasn't enough that you shamelessly sabotaged others' relationships years ago. Now you're encouraging our daughter to do the same. You are truly unfit to be a mother. Snowly looked at him in panic. How? How do you know about these things? These are all old matters from long ago. Who exactly stirred up trouble by bringing up these old issues to damage our marital relationship? Suddenly she thought of someone. It's Ningyun, isn't it? It must be her. She must be jealous seeing me living well now, so she told you these things deliberately to destroy our marriage and make me a laughingstock. It must be that. You truly cannot reason with anyone, Felix Morrison shouted. I'm too lazy to argue with you. Just tell me, did you do those things or not? Snowlie stammered, not knowing how to respond. Seeing her expression, Felix Morrison understood everything. He sighed deeply. Fine, whether you did those things or not is no longer important. But you should never, ever have used our children's futures and happiness as pawns to satisfy your ridiculous vanity. She is your own daughter. How is what you did not harming her? Emma is only 15 years old and has already lost her virtue. How do you expect her to marry in the future? And Lanner is only 12. With such scandal befalling our Morrison family, I'm afraid Lanner will also be implicated. What kind of karma are you creating? In the great families of ancient times, when one family prospered, the whole family prospered. When one family was disgraced, the whole family suffered. The reputation of daughters was especially important. When a daughter lost her reputation, not only would she be scorned by society, but it would also implicate the reputations of other women in the household. Those already married would be unable to hold their heads up in their husbands' homes, while those unmarried could forget about marrying into prestigious families. This was precisely what made Felix Morrison angriest. Snowlie, for her own selfish reasons, cared nothing for the reputations of all the women in the household, and they were all her own flesh and blood. Knowing her schemes had been exposed, Snowlie decided to speak frankly. Why is my lord suddenly concerned about these matters? I told you long ago to find a good marriage for Emma, but you never paid attention. If you hadn't been indifferent to Emma's marriage prospects, why would mother and daughter have had to worry so much? Felix Morrison pointed at Snowlie, his long beard trembling with anger. You encouraged Emma to do such shameful things, and now you blame me. This is completely unreasonable. Besides, when have I ever been indifferent to Emma's marriage? She's my daughter, of course I would find her a good family. You would find her a good family. Snowlie snorted coldly, raising her voice. You're not referring to that scholarly, are you? How could someone with his background be worthy of our Emma? What about scholarly? My lord, are you truly confused or just pretending? I've already investigated this scholarly. His family has been poor for generations, no one has ever held office, and they only have a few dozen acres of farmland. How could such a family possibly be suitable for an alliance with us? What? Snowlie. After all these years of marriage, I never realized you had become so snobbish. Speaking of background, I was even less impressive than Scholar Lee back then, yet you paid attention to me. This Scholar Lee has noble character, and his learning and talent are among the best of his generation. He's certain to achieve great things in the future. Compared to those ignorant rich young masters, he's infinitely superior. Snowlie muttered quietly. Who knows what the future holds? By the time he makes something of himself, the flowers will have withered. When she chose Felix Morrison years ago, she had also taken a great risk, gambling her future on him. Now that Emma had such good conditions and so many options to choose from, why gamble again? What did you say, my lord? Snowlie softened her tone. I'm only thinking of our Morrison family. That person is the third son of the Sheng family from the Zhongqian Earl's mansion, direct lineage with prestigious status. If Emma marries there, what could be more honorable? And our family would form connections with the Zhongqian Earl's mansion. With such relationships, it would only benefit you in court with no drawbacks. Wouldn't that kill two birds with one stone? You certainly calculated well. So what about now? The third son of the Sheng family has already married, and the new bride isn't Emma. Instead, Emma suffered meaningless losses. Mentioning this, Felix Morrison gritted his teeth in anger, his face ugly. This was unexpected. The third son had spoken so sweetly before, saying he would be faithful to Emma for life and would definitely come to propose marriage. Who knew he would later turn his back and refuse to acknowledge anything? So you're just going to let this slide, letting our Emma suffer in silence. Felix Morrison was so angry he felt ready to explode. I really had no choice. The Sheng family bullied us with their power, daring to say that Emma actively seduced their son, even speaking harshly and threatening that if we dared make a fuss, they would let the entire capital know that Emma was unchaste, seducing men and losing her virtue because of it. Felix Morrison angrily pounded the table. How can there be such shameless people who don't know their place and have no backbone like you? Don't you see that the Jonkian Earl's mansion isn't a place for the likes of you to climb up to? Yet you stubbornly tried to force your way in, not only losing face there but not daring to demand justice, just swallowing your grievances like a turtle pulling in its head. I'm just. Felix Morrison was so angry he didn't know what else to say. Even so, Snowly still didn't think she was wrong. Didn't Ning Yun's daughter also once consider the third son of the Sheng family? Why couldn't our Emma? Good heavens, I see you truly are like a dung beetle climbing onto a plate. You don't know your own worth. Our family, how can we compare with Lord Chen's family? He's a first-rank official, his wife is the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Ning's mansion, and their eldest daughter is praised by everyone in the capital, with suitors competing to propose. Their daughter is worthy of the Sheng family's third son. It's a perfect match, even more than suitable. Look at our family's situation. With our background, you dared set your sights on the Jonkian Earl's mansion. My lord, you shouldn't belittle yourself so much. You're valued by His Majesty now, who knows who will be better in the future. Besides, our Emma is no worse than anyone. Looking at Snowla's hopeless state, Felix Morrison truly fell silent. He spoke bluntly. Let me tell you clearly, Snowly, I, Felix Morrison, only have this much ability. If you're hoping I'll one day surpass Lord Chen, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Our children are also not tools for you to satisfy your vanity. From now on, don't meddle in their affairs. What? What are you saying? Snowly looked at him in shock, as if unable to believe her own ears. Felix Morrison paid no attention to what she said and continued. Furthermore, because you didn't get along with my mother before, I bought another residence for her to live separately outside. Now thinking back, it was completely unnecessary. If outsiders found out, it would make me appear unfilial. Tomorrow I'll bring Mother back home. Mother still has the energy to manage household affairs. Since you can't manage this home properly, and haven't raised the children well, I must be unfilial and trouble Mother to manage the family for now. Snowly nearly screamed. Felix Morrison. You cannot treat me this way. Don't you know your mother has never liked me? When she lived here before, she found fault with everything I did, and was determined to find you concubines. She has no good intentions. Perhaps I should have listened to her earlier. I spoiled you too much before. Looking back now, Mother saw things more clearly. What do you mean by that? Snowly grabbed Felix Morrison's sleeve in terror. Having come this far, didn't she understand? If you truly feel wrong, I'm willing to give you dignity and divorce you amicably. After all, from beginning to end, you never gave me even half your true heart. After saying this, he brushed off her hand and strode out of the room without looking back. Snowly collapsed to the floor, covering her face and sobbing. Originally, though her husband couldn't compare to Lord Chen, he could still be considered successful in his career with a bright future. More importantly, he obeyed her completely, following her every wish, and the children were filial and respectful. You are listening to Stories on Raccoon Tail channel. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support Raccoon Tail in producing more exciting stories. Unresolved jealousy and comparison poison generations. Snowly's obsession with Lord Chen destroyed her marriage, corrupted her daughter's values, and perpetuated cycles of manipulation. When parents use children as tools for vicarious achievement rather than nurturing their authentic development, they create profound damage. True contentment comes from accepting one's circumstances and building genuine relationships based on honesty, not from constantly measuring oneself against others. The story warns against letting past disappointments define present choices, showing how resentment festers when we cannot release what was never truly ours to begin with.